showdown between the 1-4 Jimmies and the 3-2 Dakota State Trojans.
Should be a fun one as well. I think it's a Jamestown team that is really expecting to play better today, Noah. They really do have a higher goal for themselves in what they have shown so far. Conversely, on the other side, you've got a Dak State team that's feeling really good about themselves. Obviously a tough loss last week, but receiving votes in the national poll and right on the heels of the Blue Hawks.
It's an explosive Dakota State offense to take the first possession of the game, averaging nearly 500 yards of total offense per game, 14th best mark in all of NAIA, and they give to Fredrickson, and he bounces off one tackler out to the 34. Near the first down marker, pickup of 9 on the first carry of the game.
And for Dakota State, that's an outstanding start to the ball game. You get an explosive run to make it second down and very short. Maintaining your balance is that much more important when you've got a passing game like Dak State does.
And for the first pass of the night, Jacob Giles, the all-conference quarterback, escapes a pair of tacklers and takes off himself. Dives ahead across the 40-yard line, and that's called making something out of nothing. Ball out to the 42-yard line, a pickup of 8 on the carry, and that moves the sticks.
Yeah, you see that spin move over on the far side of the field to just extend the ball game. Could have worked it downfield. May have had an option there. Alex was pretty well covered, though. So a good job just to tuck it, run, and get the first down.
A 3 wide receiver set now for Giles in the shotgun. Last week didn't throw a single touchdown pass, and that was the first time all season long that the senior from Madison went without a touchdown pass. Has 21 through the first 5 games this season. And there's a flag immediately before the snap. First penalty flag thrown tonight, and it's a false start on Dakota State. Moves them back 5 yards, first down and 15.
Yeah, perhaps the hard count working against Dakota State there. Good job by Jamestown reacting to the movement and forcing the flag.
First down and long, 4 wide receivers, an empty backfield for Giles in the shotgun. Quarterback keeper. Bounces outside, and he's wrapped up across the 40 at the 41. Gets close to the original line of scrimmage, but still a second down and long.
I love that play. You put the defense right on its heels from the word go because you have that quarterback draw. You spread out the opposing team. Sometimes they'll go nickel or dime and take some of their meat off the field, changing a linebacker for a defensive back, and then you play power ball. It's well done by Dak State, though still well behind the sticks.
Giles very much a dual threat quarterback. Tries to connect with his running back out of the backfield, but instead that falls incomplete. It was Kibbe, the intended receiver.
All the credit on that one has to go to that Jamestown defensive line. They forced the hot read for Dakota State, and they forced the unbalanced ball. Despite that, it would have been a big gain if that throw was a little bit more online.
First third down of the day, Dak State converts nearly 50% of the time on third down. And that's broken up, but there is a flag in.
A lot of contact on that far sideline. It did genuinely seem like it was mutual contact, but the officials will make a determination one way or the other with the flag. And usually this goes against the defense. Sure enough.
And it will go against the defense. Automatic first down, so Dakota State gets bailed out with the penalty flag. That was Troy Stewart in on the coverage. It looked pretty good, but he gets whistled for it. Ball's at midfield, fresh set of sticks for the Trojans.
And it's so tough, too, and you have that throw right on that sideline. There's not a lot of space to go without creating contact.
A free play for Dakota State, or so it seems. There was a flag thrown in, a pickup of just a couple yards on the pass. Out to Alex Babcock, the tight end.
It's so difficult to recognize that free play and adapt. Obviously, on first down, you're usually calling something pretty conservative just to keep on schedule. And it really takes an elite quarterback mind. Obviously, we see Aaron Rodgers do it at the NFL level, but to adapt, change, and relay that information to your receivers in real time is an absolute skill set, and it is hard to hone.
They will take the 5 yards on the offside, so it's a first down and 5 now for Dakota State. This is the first play from inside Jamestown territory of the day. Fredrickson the back to the left, of Giles. He gets the give. Across the 40 for a first down and wrestled down at the 38-yard line. Good start for Fredrickson on the ground, Corey.
Yeah, it really has been, and they've worked it a variety of ways, too. There you see the quarterback draw, a brief hesitation for the defensive backfield as they have to hold up and respect the passing ability of an elite thrower, and so it works well, and it's a first down for Dak State.
Averaging nearly 10 yards per carry on his first couple carries of the game. He gets it again, bounces outside the tacklers, but wrapped up immediately at the line of scrimmage.
Great job by Jamestown, electing to play the running back there, but there was some backside contain if indeed there was a keeper on the read option. That is as well as you can cover that play for the Jamestown Jimmies, forcing the loss of 1.
That was Morgan Borland in on the tackle there, right behind the line of scrimmage, lost close to a yard on the play. Second down and 11 for this Trojans offense. Fredrickson again. And same result, a host of Jamestown defenders there at the line of scrimmage, third down and long for Dakota State.
And last week in the win for the Jimmies, it really was this defensive line that shone through and created a whole lot of pressure, making it that much more difficult. If they can do that today, we've already seen the impact it can have on the passing game of Dak State, but now you begin to slow their running game as well. Still a good spot for Dakota State here.
3 wide receivers set, Giles airs it out. Catch is made across the 25, and that's a first down, and a flag comes in afterwards as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure it mattered if that catch was made or not, Noah. You could see that jersey being held right out of the break. This will be defensive holding regardless, but they'll decline it because it was a nice play to snag it.
Mitchell Galloway's first reception tonight, the junior out of Orange Park, Florida.
They'll look over to the Dak State sideline, get the accept or decline. I'm pretty sure Dak State will say no thanks, we'll take the stats.
13 yards on the connection from Giles to Galloway.
They actually call it pass interference instead of defensive holding. The difference there is 5 yards. And so Dak State actually elects to accept the penalty because of the increased penalty yardage.
So first down and 10 now from the 25. Dak State knocking on the door of the red zone on its first drive.
For Jamestown, too many penalties in this early going.
You touched on how the Jamestown defense was solid last week. They've kind of been that all season long. It's the offense that struggled to get going at times. The defense has been pretty solid.
Yeah, but it's the defensive line really, as that is knocked out incomplete, that has been put into that extra added spot to try and make up for some of the offensive struggles. That defensive front is asked to do that much more, and with a relatively young linebacker group as well for Jamestown.
A nice hit on that play right there brings up a second down and 10. Giles has 3 wide receivers. Fakes the throw, takes off himself across the original line of scrimmage and pushed out of bounds near the 20-yard line.
Good job by Giles. He was looking downfield and elected not to risk it. And that's absolutely the right play. On second down, you can just take it off, gain a couple, and don't try and force anything, especially when you're this deep in enemy territory. Points on your opening drive are valuable no matter how they come. Makes the safe play and gives himself another chance on third.
Third down and 7 from the 22-yard line.
There's a difference between taking a chance and making a bad play. And so far, Giles has done a good job of straddling that line.
3rd and 7, quick throw to Galloway on the near sideline. It falls incomplete. Fourth down here. The offense on the field still. And they're looking to go for it.
Yeah, when you see that button hook, Noah, you figure that's not going to be enough to get to the 15. That's the line to gain. They were trying to set up 4th and short. Now 4th and a long way is about 7.
Some noise from the Jamestown crowd on the near sideline trying to get a 4th down stop. Giles airs it out, and it goes incomplete, and a big stop for the Jamestown defense on the first drive of the afternoon.
Yeah, they do a really good job there. There was nothing open downfield. Giles looked right up that seam, just couldn't find anything, flared it out to his running back in the flat, hoping for something, Ball winds up going wide. The Jamestown defense does its job, and now they'll turn to their offense with a senior quarterback who needs to improve how he's played this year.
When you have an explosive offense like that, maybe it's not surprising to go for it on 4th down at the 22-yard line, but I talked to Coach Anderson earlier this week, and he said to me, we have to realize sometimes that there's a difference, kind of what you said. There's a difference between taking a chance and making a bad play. Sometimes we have to realize it's okay to settle for 3 points. You surprised they went for it?
Absolutely, especially on the first drive, but you're looking to set the tempo early on the road.
Klott finds his man on the near sideline, but it goes right through the hands of Jimmy Hatch, the sophomore running back, incomplete.
For Dylan this year, it has been a down year. There's no other way to put it. He has played better than this in a Jamestown uniform, and so he knows that there's still plenty of time to right the ship, though. And it would really go a long way today in a North Star matchup where Jamestown hasn't really started conference play all that much. And so the game script far from written on this season.
The give to Edwards on the end around. Picks up maybe a yard on the play up to the 23, so it's a 3rd down and long.
This is exactly what you alluded to, Noah. The defense does a really good job forcing the ball back into the hands of the UJO, and through 2 plays, they gain a yard. And now they'll have to throw it. Dak State knows that, so they can get into a sub package, and you run into a team that's played well, receiving votes for a reason in the national poll.
Third down and a long way to go. 4 wide receivers set. Trips to the top of your screen. Dumps it off to the back end. Hatch near the 30-yard line, and he's upended a couple yards short of that 1st down marker.
Good job just to get some forward momentum there for Jamestown, flaring it out to the back. Again, good coverage on the back end by Dak State. Pretty similar to what you saw on 4th down. The difference here is that Jamestown's going to punt.
It was a pair of linebackers, Danny Jordan and Bailey Edwards, in on the tackle for the Trojans, and the punt unit now on for Jamestown. So a 3 and out for the Jimmies offense to start. We're scoreless. Each team has had 1 drive. About 7 minutes into quarter number 1. If that wasn't tipped, it was very nearly, and that's a short punt, rolls out of bounds at the 46-yard line. The Trojans offense, great starting field position on its 2nd drive of the afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think that was actually blocked, but the process was greatly accelerated, and that's exactly what you saw. And now, if you're Dak State, you're feeling pretty good about your decision to go for it on 4th down. It only cost you about 20 yards, if that.
The Dak State offense back out for its 2nd drive of the afternoon, starting with great field position inside the Jamestown territory at the 46-yard line. 3 wide receivers set. Giles in the shotgun with Fredericks in the back behind him. An offense that averages nearly 500 yards of total offense per game, 14th best mark in the country. Airs it out over the middle, and it's nearly intercepted. That was Troy Stewart in on the deflection to break up the pass. That was the first target of the game to Austin Opdahl, leading wide receiver for this Trojans offense. Has 40 receptions on the season, 2nd most in all of NAIA.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took this long in the game for Dak State to call that shot play. Jamestown will want it back. That should have been an INT. Give
to Fredrickson. Hesitates and gets across the 45, close to the 40, stopped around the 41, pick up of 5 yards on the play, set 3rd down and 5.
Gain of 5 on the run by Fredrickson.
It was the Stewarts, spelled differently, but said essentially the same. On that pass breakup, a near INT for Jamestown. The defensive backfields for both units playing well, but it'll be Jamestown that's more often tested. At least that's what the stats indicate, with a heavy dose of air game for Dak State.
The defense for Jamestown has looked good through the first couple drives. They'd love to get a stop here on 3rd down. Make it a 3 and out for this Trojans offense. They are kind of in no man's land again, though. Might go for it again on 4th down if given the opportunity. Out to the near sideline, and it's broken up again by Stewart. That's the 2nd time in the last 3 plays. He's looked phenomenal early.
Yeah, that's a really good late recognition, breaking on the ball and just knocking it away and recognizing the wide receiver has very little in the way of space. And Dak State brings out the punting unit.
So After failing to get it on 4th down the first time, they elect to go with the punt unit here on the second drive.
It's funny because it's 4th and shorter this time. It was 5 now, it was 8 then. The difference is about 10 yards though. If you don't get it, you're basically giving it to UJ at midfield.
Punt away takes a small bounce for Dakota State inside the 20 and touched up at the 15. So they do gain about 25 yards or so on the punt, and that pins Jamestown inside its own 20.
Yeah, there you're really looking to get it inside the 10 though. I mean, 25 yards is 25 yards, right? That's a quarter of the field. You can't say that's bad by any means, but not 100% what Dak State was looking for, but they have faith in their defensive unit, recognizing now that Jamestown needs to go near the length of the field, 85 yards.
Jamestown's first drive ended in a 3-and-out, and we saw them pass 2 of the first 3 plays. Think they try to get the run more involved here in this drive?
I don't doubt it. Try and take some of the pressure off a quarterback who's still trying to work through some things.
The give to Hatch. And he's tripped up just outside the 20, picks up close to 4 yards on the play, 2nd down and 6. Hatch and Allen Jevning had kind of split carries through the first few weeks of the season. When I say split carries, I mean exactly that. 63 carries on the season for Jevning, 67 for Hatch. They both rushed for exactly 290 yards on the season. So split duty in the backfield for Jamestown. We've seen only Hatch in the first couple drives, though. Claw under center. Hatch back-to-back carries, and he is stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. All yellow jerseys there for Dakota State on the defense.
Kurt Burke absolutely took the Jamestown offensive line and shoved them backwards. The big man wearing number 43 with some impressive penetration for Dak State.
He has 10 tackles for loss in the season, does Burke. That's top 5 in all of NAIA. Used to getting back to the running backs behind the line, does so again and sets up a 3rd down and 7 for this Jamestown offense. Still inside their own 20.
When we talk about the importance of that front 4 for UJ, Dak State's looked pretty good as well.
Trips to the bottom of the screen now for the Jamestown offense. Clot to pass, plenty of time over the middle, connects with his man, and it's enough for a 1st down. Josh Burgess on the catch.
Good job by Burgess, just running that post route, getting inside of the safety and the cornerback and giving a clear passing lane for Dylan Clot. Clot does a good job standing in. Really nice job by that offensive line, too, giving him time to look through those passing lanes, peruse his options, and he finds the right one.
First completion of the afternoon for Clot. It goes to Burgess, the team's 2nd leading receiver. 10 receptions entering the day on the season. I formation, Hatch. Up the middle, picks up maybe 2.
For that run game, it's going to be tough sledding, but you simply have to stay committed to it. You cannot get one-dimensional versus this Dak State team, because if you let this defensive line pin their ears back and not play run responsibility, they're going to get that much better on you. Good job by Jamestown, just rolling through it. And they've got some talented players back there, too. Jimmy will get going as long as you keep feeding him the rock.
And if you start throwing the ball, that's exactly what the Dakota State defense wants you to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clot into the shotgun now, Hatch right next to him. To throw on 2nd and 8. Gets flushed out of the pocket, sets his feet, and he connects with a man. No, it's whistled incomplete.
The Jamestown sideline is besides themselves. It was a really good job by Dylan just to escape the pressure.
Tried to connect with Edwards, his favorite target. You get another look at it here. We'll see if he was able to complete it. Tough view there, but the official immediately signaled incomplete, so
yeah.
I think he may have had a great view of it.
That or it's just really good officiating. Always be decisive with your calls. It is really close, though. And it seems like more often than not, the wide receiver is given the benefit of the doubt there. Not that time.
3rd down and 8 rather. Jamestown has converted on a 3rd down and 7 already on this drive. Can they make it back-to-back 3rd downs? Out to Hatch. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 40-yard line, 2 yards short of that 1st down marker, brings up 4th and short.
That's faith in your back right there, though, man. 3rd and 9, and you just dump it off to the flat right away as a design on the play. You know there's going to be some rack yardage there, but that is well done.
Clot stays on the field, so Jamestown looks to go for it here on a 4th down and short 2.
could be pooch punt territory too.
And it is. Nobody back, and that's a great punt, but rolls just a little bit too far into the end zone, and a touchback for Dakota State. Let's take a quick look at our player matchup now, presented by Choice Financial. Choice Financial is people first. Find out what it means at choicefinancialgroup.com. And for this Dakota State team, it's the quarterback in Jacob Giles, throwing for over 300 yards per game, has 21 touchdowns over the first 5 games of the season. And for the Jamestown defense, Caleb Ellingson, team leader, team's second leading tackler. He needs to have a big day against this offense of Dakota State.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've already talked a few times today about that Jamestown defensive front. They've done a good job so far, relatively containing Jacob Giles. By his standards, a slow start. Give credit to Ellingson and the Jamestown D.
First down and 10 from the 20 after the touchback. Giles to throw on the first play. Completes it to a man across the 35 and finally dragged down just short of the 40. A 19-yard pickup on the first play of the drive. That was Mason Layton, the freshman, on the reception.
And we've seen a few times today, Noah, just throwing basically horizontal to the line of scrimmage. Going straight out to the flat, working it to a guy. And the thinking there is that, look, we believe our athletes can make plays in space. We just have to get them the rock. That's exactly what Dak State did right there.
The largest play from the line of scrimmage in this early going of the game, 19 yards, dump out to Fredrickson, and he's pummeled behind the line of scrimmage. That was Ellingson, the first there in on the tackle. Noah Brendan also in as well.
Now that time, Dak State didn't want to do that. They had no choice. Jamestown did a good job of getting some immediate pressure there on the rush. Dumped out into the flat, and a big loss for Dak State.
Second down and 14 from the 35 now. 3 wide receivers set for Giles. You see him audibling here, and that's something Coach Anderson talked about. When he sees any defense, he knows exactly what he wants to do with it. Usually makes the right call. He's flushed out, tries to hit Fredrickson, but it's way over his head, incomplete. Third down and long. But there is a couple penalty flags on the play.
Giles visibly frustrated there as well. That's a throw he can make, and he knows that. On the run, it's difficult. If you don't square your hips up right, you go too high. It's exactly what happened.
We're scoreless here in the first quarter, almost all the way through it. Just over 3 minutes to play in the opening frame. Defensive holding whistled on Jamestown, so a break there for Dakota State. Instead of a third down and 14, you're looking at a first down.
The automatic first down on the defensive holding, and once again, a self-inflicted wound for Jamestown. Ooh.
A fumbled snap, and Giles can't fall on it, and it's picked up by Jamestown. And how about that, changing the field for the first time today? The Jimmies are in Dakota State territory.
Yeah, if we talk about the self-inflicted damage by Jamestown, it's been a bunch of small cuts that have made the difference, whereas Dak State just blew a hole in their foot.
Gavin Panthero, the Las Vegas native, in on the fumble recovery, and the ball is at the 31-yard line to start the drive. The Jimmies offense getting great field position.
And now if you are the Jamestown Jimmies, you have to capitalize on this, looking for what can only be considered an upset bid, certainly based on North Star rankings and polling. You have been gifted an opportunity. You must make it count.
The give and a couple yards across the 30 to the 29 brings up a second down and long.
When you see an offensive lineman on his back from almost the word go, that is a dirty play. A 99 on the end for Dak State absolutely made him miss.
That was Jackson He on the carry, his first of the afternoon. Second down and 8 inside the 30. I formation with Claw under center. Again to He. Tries to bounce outside, and he's taken down near the 25. Brings up a third down and short. Picks up close to 4 or 5 on the play.
Good job by Jamestown just to stay on schedule, keep it manageable, bring up third and very controllable. And now you keep your options open here on third down. You can go stay on the ground or go back to the air on a short passing route for Cotton Company.
This might be 2-down territory, too, at the 25-yard line.
Gifted that short field, you have to come away with points, don't you? Especially in a scoreless ball game in which your defense is playing well. Hand them a lead.
The give to He. They won't have to worry about a 4th down. 1st down and more into the red zone to the 15-yard line.
That's why that 2nd down run is so big. Instead of 3rd and long, you set it up for He. You go again. Really good on the read option by Dylan Klott. Elects to give. Right call. 1st down inside the red zone at the 16.
I was just going to ask if you ever...
Jamestown has run 3 plays now, all of them on the ground. A little bit more commitment to the rushing game, and it's paid off. Inside the red zone. High formation, another run to He. And brought down inside the 5-yard line. 11 yards, move the sticks, 1st and goal.
Great trap run by Jamestown right there. You see the guard pull, come up the middle, and pave the way for Jackson He to come right up the gut. The Jamestown Jimmies on the doorstep of the first points of this game.
Just over a minute to play in the opening frame from Jamestown on their homecoming today. Scoreless game, but the Jimmies at the 4-yard line can knock it into the end zone here and break up a scoreless tie. Man set in motion, 3 backs in the backfield. Klott rolls out, first pass of the drive to Edwards. Did he get his feet in? Yes, touchdown Jimmies!
That's really good play calling by Coach Cattell and the rest of this Jamestown coaching staff. Run, 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 you're in close. Oh, they have to run it again. Not so fast, my friends. Yoinks it, Klott on the bootleg, out to the right, picture perfect throw, aim towards that back pylon. That's how you do it, given a short field.
And how about that? Brandon Edwards, the leading receiver on this Jamestown team. That's his first touchdown reception of the game. It took a little of the season, rather. It took more than 5 games to find him in the end zone. They do so. The Jimmies are up. The extra point is up and through as well. 7-0 our lead. The Jimmies on top of the Trojans near the end of quarter 1 on BEK Prime. Seven nothing the score after the Jamestown Jimmies get into the end zone for the first time tonight. We'll get you our keys to the game right after this kickoff. Ball falls off the tee. Maybe we can get them now. Let's take a quick look at our keys to the game presented by Pinky Homes. Get the keys to your new custom-built home from Pinky Homes, a family business dedicated to building your next family home. For Jamestown, it's the run game it usually is. Dakota State turned the ball over 4 times in a loss last weekend. They need to be more clean with the ball.
We've already seen that today, haven't we? On the botch snap that creates the only points in the game. Turnovers hampering the Trojan effort in the run game is how the touchdown was set up, though not scored.
From the 5-yard line. And taken down across the 25.
Waldner on the return.
That's Waldner that brings it 21 yards from the 5 out to the 26.
40 seconds till we flip the field here at the end of the first quarter, and largely it's been a field position battle and a stalemate through 1 quarter of play, with obviously one crippling mistake hampering that Dak State offense, but they've moved the ball with some relative authority.
Here's Fredrickson. Gets next to nothing, stopped near the line of scrimmage, 2nd down and long.
That ground game, as it goes, has gotten a little bit less effective for Dak State as this game has gone on. We talked about those opening runs, averaging right around 10 per carry. That Jamestown defensive front has settled down a little bit now, maybe trying to gather some energy from these hometown fans, maybe some nerves going against a good team that they knew coming in. They're doing a better job as of late.
Do you think that could be partly because Giles hasn't got the pass game going as well?
Oh, absolutely. All of a sudden you don't have that balance, and Dak State has been forced to go with some short passing, though even part of that is the Jamestown D-line has worked out through 1.
2nd down and 10 coming to start the second quarter after this. We're through quarter number 1. Jamestown a 7-0 lead on top of Dakota State here on BEK Prime. 2nd down and 10 for the Dakota State offense here to start the second quarter from their own 26-yard line. 3 wide receivers set for Giles in the shotgun. He's completed just 3 of his 10 passes today. And a flag thrown, false start. That backs up the Trojans 5 more yards back to the 21.
And now the Trojans are taking a page out of the Jamestown book, and it's not a page you want to have in your novel. A lot of penalties as of late, in addition to obviously the botched snap. You're right, Noah, right there at the end of the first. You said it, this passing game is not where Dakota State needs it to be in order to be successful. Still, though, you trust a quarterback to settle down on the road when you've got a guy this kind of caliber.
Second down and 15 now after the false start. Giles on the delayed handoff to Fredrickson. He's across the 30 and gets taken down across the 35-yard line near the sticks. I think he got enough for the first down. He did. 16 on the carry.
That's how you erase a penalty right there. You get back all the lost yardage, and then you double it after that first 5 yards. That is well done by Dakota State, getting their longest run in a while.
So after the 16-yard pickup and first down, Fredrickson goes to the bench. And it's Hines, the running back, in with Giles. Thrown out to Waldner, escapes one tackler. Gets about 2 yards, second down and long.
Keith Rogers diagnosed that play immediately. He got by his blocker, recognized that bubble screen to the outside, and was right there, but he just missed on the tackle. Still a very good play by the Jamestown defense to rally up and limit it to just a couple.
And that's a guy Coach Cattell at the beginning of the season. I saw this Jamestown team on opening weekend against Hastings, and when we talked about Keith Rogers, he told me that's a guy that has All-American potential at the cornerback position.
Yeah, he made a really good play right there, just missed on the back end.
Giles flushed out near side, does have plenty of time to throw, directs his offense, and that wobbles incomplete. Tried to find Opdahl, his favorite wide receiver, but it falls incomplete.
Some really good pass pro as well here. You're going to just see a guy at the running back spot lay out and just get in the way and keep his guy alive right there on the top of your screen. Still, though, nothing doing as Giles tried to turn the playmaker on, couldn't do it.
Giles averages over 300 yards per game through the air. That's top 10 in the country. He's just 3 of 11 today.
Good blitz.
Giles tries to escape, nowhere to go, and he's taken down at the 20. That's a loss of 20 yards. Corey, this defense for Jamestown showed up today.
Yeah, that was an outstanding blitz concept by Jamestown. The defensive line just clogs all the holes, and the linebackers all get through. Like you said, nowhere for Giles to go to try and escape that tackle box to throw it away. You can't keep running backwards in that spot. You just got to go down. You hurt your team when you take that additional yardage to bring up 4th and 25. That hurts. And give all the credit to the Jamestown group on the back end of that front seven.
I talked to Coach Anderson for Dak State on the phone for about 20 minutes. A high snap there, but controlled. And him and I talked about Giles for about 10 minutes of that. Nearly half the time on the phone we talked about Giles. I think the Jamestown defense also talked about Giles this week.
Yeah, they probably knew a little bit coming in. The numbers speak for themselves, and when you come into a game like that preparing for an elite quarterback, it really does change how you game plan over the course of the week. And so far, that has been a resounding success for Coach Cattell and this Jimmy's group, doing a really good job on defense. Now, can their offense capitalize on the opportunity created by that blitz? And you make a big risk when you blitz that hard on 3rd down, but they got home, and so the risk pays off.
Short punt return, good field position for Jamestown from their own 40. Not quite as good as from the Dak State 30, which is what they got on the touchdown drive last drive. Carry for a couple yards up to the 42. That was Hatch. Second down and long.
Good for 2 yards. Brings up 2nd and 8 for UJ.
And now for UJ. With the lead, you don't alter your game plan yet. It's only the second quarter, obviously, but if UJ can probably notch a touchdown here, then you put yourself in a game script where you're ahead by multiple scores. You can try and start to take the air out of that football, which plays into what they want to do. Run, and run it again.
Man in motion, kept by Claude, and he's ripped down at the 46-yard line. Sets up a 3rd down and much more manageable now for Jamestown, just 4 yards to get.
Yeah, we've talked about the dual threat nature of the Dak State quarterback situation. It's the first time we've seen Dylan take off all day long, and that's something that's in his skill set. There's no doubt about it. He has scored plenty of rushing touchdowns here on Raleigh Greeno Field, and there he flexes those muscles on a nice read off right guard.
So 3rd down and 3 from the 47 now for Jamestown. They've converted on 3 third downs already today. 2 wide receivers set, both towards the bottom of your screen. Claw to throw, finds Hatch, 1st down and much more. And steps out of bounds at the 42-yard line into Dak State territory.
Good job by the official on that far sideline, making that whistle and preventing a hit from coming when a guy already stepped out of bounds. But so far in this one, Noah, the wide receivers have mostly been accessories. They've been there to block. It's been the running backs, whether it be on a handoff or that extended handoff to the far side.
Well, Coach Cattell said, there's no doubt about it, the MO of this team is run the football. We won't hide that from anybody. We won't hide that from our opponents. And it seems like in the early going of this season, I saw it against Hastings. You saw it a couple weekends against Valley City. They start running the ball really well, but get away from it throwing it.
Sure.
That hasn't been the case today. They've really committed to that run game, and it's led to a 7-0 lead against a team that's receiving votes in the national polls.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the problem, too, is that run game can be staunched early, and then you kind of have to get away from it because the passing game isn't there to supplement it. Today, Dylan's made good, safe throws, and he's got his guys in the right position to be successful, enabling them to pick up that rack yardage. They've picked up their quarterback. It's a well-rounded effort by Jamestown so far.
And a very balance between the throw and the run today. That's Hatch on the carry. Picks up a yard up to the 41-yard line. 3rd down and 7 now for the Jimmy's offense.
The other good thing that I think Jamestown has done in terms of their rushing game is they've continued to change their MO in terms of how they get there, trying to move that defensive front around for Dak State. We've already seen how good they can be when they are given the opportunity.
41 yards on the ground on 10 carries, 41 yards through the airs on 5 of 7. You can't be much more balanced than 41 to 41.
Yeah.
3rd and 7, Claw in the gun. And a flag before the snap.
A little bit of pre-snap motion for Jamestown.
On offense, number 76,
So false start whistled on Jamestown. Turn a 3rd and 7 into a 3rd down and 12. Jamestown 4 for 6 on converting 3rd downs today, but none have been as long as 12 yards.
Yeah, they'll bring Edwards and company in now in a surefire passing situation for Dylan Clod. And in these spots today, he has not thrived yet. He's been much better, as any quarterback would be, in 3rd and manageable. But you lean on your senior quarterback to make these types of plays. Let's see what he's got here.
Dumps it off to Hatch, his back. And he gets the 1st down. Punched out of bounds at the 25-yard line. There is a flag near the line of scrimmage, though. This one might be coming back.
Believe it is.
And Jamestown looks like they think it is, too.
A hold on that far side to try and spring Hatch. And that makes the difference right there. That hurts for Jamestown. They made Dakota State pay for that blitz. Dak State brought pressure, got home. Dylan Klott made the correct read and find his hot route, but the hold that sprung him now makes it 3rd and a ways.
3rd and 22 for Jamestown offense now. And Jamestown will use its first timeout of the first half. Up 7-0, 9:09 remaining in the first half. It's a 3rd down and ways to go when we come back. Seven 0 the Jimmies lead here on their homecoming. 9:09 remaining before halftime, but they've got a 3rd and 22 upcoming. And about 4 yards on the ground that time for Hatch, just trying to pick up some yardage before bringing the punt unit on.
Absolutely. 3rd and 22, you're not going to convert in all likelihood. And with a lead, just hand it off, see what Hatch can do. If he springs something, awesome. If he doesn't, you bring out your punting unit and rely on your defense that to this point has been sterling.
It's Waldner back to receive the punt for Dakota State. Much better snap. Punt into the wind, though. Doesn't get a ton of yardage. Ball touchdown at the 38. That's where Dak State takes over.
Like you said, with that wind howling pretty good here in the Buffalo City, it just knocks that ball down in the air, and that punt came down short of what was the line to gain, basically, for Jamestown. So a good spot for the Dak State offense, near some of their best starting field position of the day. And eventually, a good quarterback is going to find his groove. Is this the spot for Dak State, or does that Jamestown defense continue to dictate to the Trojan O?
Giles just 3 of 12 to start the game today. Hasn't had much success. The give to Hines. He has some success. And ripped down at the 20-yard line. Flag comes in for a horse collar. Well, if your pass game isn't going to get it going, your run game can.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, it's just really good blocking, good hole recognition, and pure nasty speed right there for Dakota State. Jamestown will be frustrated by a lack of gap control right there.
Half the distance to the goal on the horse collar. And that sets Dakota State just outside the 10-yard line. By far the deepest they've been into Jamestown territory today. First time they've even been in the red zone.
Yeah, the defense sets them up for short field with that tough punt. And here they come. There again, you see the late recognition to kill it, set up a new play. The senior quarterback taking charge.
Giles, fade route to Opdahl. And there's a flag. Stewart didn't like it, but it's the right call.
It's so tough to defend those two. Just a well-thrown ball, maybe a little bit further towards that outside pylon if you're being nitpicky, but it's well delivered, and Jamestown will be frustrated by the end result. Foul occurred in the end zone, so it'll be spotted at the 1-yard line. So Jamestown on the precipice now. Just a simple handoff in all likelihood to try and knot things up.
3 plays to get 2 yards. That's all Dak State needs and a chance to tie this game up. And a game in which they haven't played very well either. To be tied up at this spot, you got to like where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a chance to go to the locker room tied, although there's still plenty of time in this half.
Here's Hines. He doesn't get in on the 1st and goal. Stood up at the line of scrimmage.
Good job by that Jamestown front. They're not going to make it easy. Caleb Ellingson flies in there for UJ. In fact, I think they pushed him back for a yard. So from the 2 to about the 4 as it sits now. And for Dakota State, it might be passing time.
2 wide receivers on. It's Galloway and Opdahl. Giles gives to Hines. He picks up a couple yards back to the 2, the original line of scrimmage, but now a 3rd down and goal.
And now if you're Dakota State, you have a couple options. You can go for a 3rd straight run, or you set up that play action game and trust your quarterback. The only downside of that, or not even downside, just the argument in favor of pounding the rock is that has gone well. However, that option is essentially off the table because it's an empty backfield.
Empty backfield, 3 wide receivers for Giles in the gun. Keeps it himself. And he doesn't get in.
Trying to just generate some space in an area of the field where there isn't any, simply by nature of the fact that that end line is right there. So you spread them out, you go for the quarterback draw, but the Jamestown defense shows the strength and recognizes it. And now Dakota State's going to second to think about what they want to do.
Dakota State calls a timeout, 4th down and goal from about the 3-yard line. We'll see what they do when we come back. Giles scrambles into the end zone on 4th down and goal, 7-6, an extra point to tie it.
Yeah, it was a really good job by the Jamestown defense. They flushed him from the word go. The defensive backfield contained it well, but Giles simply so aware of where he is on the field at all times, takes over far side, tucks it in that near pylon for a touchdown. Dakota State cashes in on 4th down and 2.
Kick is up and through, and we're knotted up at 7. 6:03 remaining before halftime. Jamestown has a chance to answer and regain the lead here on BEK Prime. Corey, it wasn't the prettiest. 4 plays to get 2 yards from a first down and goal at the 2. But Dak State does get the points, and they've tied it up with 6:03 remaining before halftime.
Yeah, it was about the ugliest way you can score from first and goal from the 2. And a lot of credit has to be given to the Jamestown defense. They made 4 very good plays. But Dak State wins out. Inevitably, when you only need 2 yards, that'll usually go your way more often than not.
Even on the 4th down, Giles dropped back to throw, and
nothing.
There was nothing there. He had to take off and barely got into the end zone on his feet.
Yeah, he tried to flush right, denied, so he cuts back left, and then he has that cutback lane like a running back. But Jamestown, like I said, 4 very good plays. They just got beat out, only needing 6 feet, and now someone's going to have to hold this football as the wind continues to howl in Jamestown, as it usually does.
7-7 our score now. 6:03 remaining before halftime after the Dak State touchdown. Jamestown has just over 6 minutes before halftime a chance to score, and they get the ball back at halftime too, so really not a whole lot to lose in this situation.
Yeah, UJ won the opening toss, elected to defer. That's looking like a brilliant decision right now. You take this thing down and score, and you vulture a possession off Dak State with back-to-back chances without the Trojans having an opportunity to respond. Still, though, a scoring drive a long way away for UGA, who was only cashed in on the short field via the Dak State fumble.
So kick through the end zone, a touchback, and the Jamestown offense takes over 1st and 10 from its own 25. And this Jimmy's offense has looked pretty good all day long. You said the only score they've had is on the short field, but the offense has looked much better today than it has all season long.
They have, and I think that was really due for this Jamestown team. They are better than they have shown to this point in the season, and perhaps a chance for a bit of a revelation for the rest of the North Star here at home in front of a packed house.
Hatch gets it on 1st down, and he's out across to the 30-yard line. So a 2nd down and 5 now.
That's the other good news for Jamestown is, in addition to obviously trying to move the ball down the field and score, you also don't want to give Dak State an opportunity for a reprisal late in this first half. And so as long as you stick to your game plan, Jamestown will, of continuing to keep the ball on the ground, you keep that clock moving as well, and you really limit the downside here late in half 1.
3 backs in the backfield. Here's the give. And stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Third down and 5 now for Jamestown. They've converted on 3 of their 6 opportunities today.
Not bad. Again, in those spots, you so often look at the quarterback. That's the guy who's usually responsible for converting at a 3rd down rate. The best guys do it often. Now, though, on 3rd and 5, the run game is not out of the question.
And here's Hatch. Almost got away from one tackler, but a shoestring grab at the 32 sets up 4th and 3.
Was a Dak State coach on the far sideline jumping and yelling, "Get him down!" hoping to try and bring up 4th down. That's exactly what they do. Jimmy's keep Clot and company on the field. This may very well be another situation where Dillon looks at the defense and has the opportunity to pooch punt if he wants, or to go for it if the look is right. 4th and 3 is not 4th and 1, though, and they're wildly different.
And from your own 32, you don't want to give a chance for Dak State to score right before halftime, especially because you've controlled this game most of the way.
The other opportunity was the Jamestown coaching staff gets to look at the defense. They say no thanks and call timeout.
So Jamestown timeout, 4th down and 3 for the Jimmies when we come back. After the Jamestown timeout, they elect to punt it away, 4th down and 3 from their own 32. Probably the best punt we've seen all day from Jamestown. A nice roll inside the 30. and touched up at the 27-yard line. That's where Dak State takes over. 3:48 remaining before halftime. The Trojans have a chance to score and take their first lead of the game on this drive.
That was a really good low punt. You don't get it high, and therefore it can't get knocked down by that wind. That is well done on the rugby style. Even if Dak State would have had a deep return man, I don't think he ever would have gotten to it. Really good special teams work by UJ after the last touchdown by Dakota State came because of a punt that didn't go very far. This time it does.
We'll see if Jacob Giles, the senior quarterback, can finally get things going. He's just 4 of 12 through the air for 29 yards, averages over 300 yards per game on the season. And there's a flag. That will back the Trojans up 5 more yards to start the drive.
And you talk about the penalties that Dakota State's racked up in this game. Many of them have been false starts, and it's easy to say, nerves on the road. But what I think it really is a level of respect being paid to this Jamestown defensive front that's really started to find their anchor over the course of this game. And so Dak State looking for that little edge, and right there it cost them 5 yards.
3 wide receivers for Giles in the shotgun. He gives to Fredrickson, bounces off one tackler and gets back near the 25-yard line, 2nd down and long.
Now if you're the Jamestown defense, you're thinking about getting the ball back for your offense one final time. 3:30 to go. UJ has 2 timeouts remaining. They took 1 to bring the punting unit on the field. They may wind up wanting that one back, though. Still a lot of time remaining on that clock.
To go back to your point just a little bit ago about the penalties, in a 20-minute conversation with Coach Anderson earlier this week, he brought up turnovers and penalties 4 separate times to me. That's a big thing for him, and they've kind of struggled with both today.
No doubt about it. No, I think any coach would go with those as the things to always isolate. That's pretty football coach right there.
A run out to the 35, just short of the marker. A couple penalty flags in. I think they might have got him for the horse collar.
I think so as well. That late tackle where you bring a guy from behind. Yep. That'll be the 2nd time today Jamestown has gotten the personal foul penalty. And as bad as those false starts and procedural minor ones are, 15 yards, it's a lot, obviously. And so that also creates a 1st down for Dak State when they were floundering to get one. Now all of a sudden with 3:03 to go, Dakota State has to be thinking about points.
Into Jamestown territory at the 49. Here's Hines. Bounces away from one tackler, and he's down at the 45. Flag comes in after the play. And one official signals holding on Dakota State.
When the man in the white hat grabs his wrist, that means it is the official determination. And he was behind the play there. When you see that flag come in from behind the offense, that is 99.9% of the time going to be offensive holding. That's exactly what it is right here. And so 15 yards forward on a personal foul, 10 yards back on a holding. The war of attrition continues as neither team will be thrilled with their penalty yardage.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, Corey. It feels like every time Dakota State starts to get something rolling, they shoot themselves in the foot. Penalty, turnover, whatever the case may be. They're back 10 more yards. It's 1st and 20.
Yeah, it's been a flashy first half, and that we have seen both teams flash how good they are, but on balance, it has been a bit sloppy.
3 wide receiver set. Opdahl, his favorite target at the bottom of your screen. He airs it out. Far sideline, though, has a man and just overshoots him. That was Trevor Listman, the intended target.
That brief hesitation right there. He goes, he looks again. There it is. Just loads up a little bit too strong. The first real shot play opportunity of the day for Dakota State goes by the wayside, and that may very well have been 6.
How much credit goes to the Jamestown offense for limiting Giles? We've talked about how he hasn't found his stride, but is that because of the defense?
A little bit, certainly. I think the defensive backs have had a really good game. We've already talked about that defensive line, but that's just a straight miss. You can't credit the defense for that. Giles has been off today, arguably as off as he's been all season for Dak State.
Tried to go to Listman again. Listman was trying to block the defender.
And you talked about the numbers coming in. This is a guy who averages over 300 yards, et cetera, and look at the numbers for this day, and they simply have not been there. Now, you can go with 2 schools of thought. One is he's going to have a bad day. The other, he's due.
Second half, still plenty of football to play. 3rd and 20, Giles, a deep 5-step drop, airs it out.
Same play.
Listman, and again, just a little bit too far.
Passing complete.
And for what it's worth, and no great quarterback wants this to be an excuse, but it is an explanation, the wind is blowing left to right. And so both of those deep balls were carried by those gusts here in the Buffalo City, and it may very well have knocked those opportunities away from Dak State. A Jimmy wind, if you will.
Dak State to punt. That punt gets some help with the wind. Deep back to the 5-yard line, and it's taken by Edwards.
Nice teams.
A nice job by the Dakota State special teams.
If you haven't done so already, homecoming court, current athletic Hall of Famers, alumni Hall of Famers.
Well, 94 yards to go in 2:11 if Jamestown wants to make this drive a touchdown.
Yeah, I think Jamestown may elect to keep this ball on the ground and go to the locker room tied at half. Maybe you take a couple looks, but you don't want to do anything too risky. 2:11, and you're going to get the ball back following the halftime break. Your defense has successfully kept Dakota State off the board here at the end of half one, especially with your own goalposts not so far behind you.
Almost everybody up in the box for the Dak State defense. Predicting run, they get a run. A little bit more breathing room now for the Jimmy's offense.
Yep, and a good run there on first down. That keeps your options open. You'll probably hand it off again just to keep that clock going. Jamestown does have one timeout to be saved in the event of an explosive play here at the end of half one.
You surprised to see Dakota State not take a timeout? They have 2 left, backed up, 2 minutes to go, a chance to maybe get some points out of it?
Depends. I think depending on the result of this play, they may very well take that timeout to bring up third and then fourth ensuing, with Dak State having 2 timeouts. But you have to let Jamestown have their way. You don't want to hand them an opportunity.
Another give. The pile continues to push, and that's a cross for a first down. Pickup of 5 on the play. He was hit the first time around the line of scrimmage. That line for Jamestown just kept pushing.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Now, Dakota State will call a timeout with 1:21, trying to gather the offense, recognizing the chains stopped anyway.
A fresh set of sticks for Jamestown out of the timeout. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Just 1:21 remaining before halftime. Here's he. Explodes across the 25 and taken down after a pickup of 9, maybe 10. They might have got him the first down. He gets it at the 30.
And the great news there for Jamestown is the clock stops briefly while those chains get moved. Winds again. Jamestown in no hurry. They'll still be content to just run this out, barring an even more explosive play. The 10-yard run, not quite enough, as they still are not yet at midfield.
Jamestown didn't get the ball back to start the second half. There may be a little bit more urgency, but I don't think they have any issue going in to halftime tied with Dakota State.
Yep, absolutely. You're stuck at 7 up. You get a chance to take the lead, and again, you keep running your offense, see what comes of it, but don't take any unnecessary risk.
Another handoff. He across the 35 to the 36, picks up 6 more on the ground. And that very well could be the last play of the half.
And obviously, you know, when you're watching, you're like, come on, let's go, let's go. You're letting all this time come off the clock. And obviously that's part of the mindset, but you have to play the game as well and recognizing that your passing game hasn't really found its legs yet. And so what are the odds here in the final 25 seconds that you're going to all of a sudden find the greatest show on turf? It's not exceptionally likely. And so you play it safe. You make the decision to go into the half. You get to make your adjustments as well. And then in the opening drive of half 2, maybe you come out with some different looks.
Jamestown tied 7-7 here at the end of the half. We'll be back with a halftime report after this. All knotted up, 7 apiece. Halftime from Jamestown. And the insurance should be more about getting it right than doing it different. 7-7 our score between Dakota State and Jamestown. And Corey, the Jimmies have at times looked really well, both offensively, but more so especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's really where they've dictated this game. And the reason we're sitting at 7-7, obviously in part, is because of the Dak State defense. But on balance, it really is the Jamestown defense that has set the tenor today. You have to give them a ton of credit for what they've been able to do in this ball game. not only up front with that front four, but we've seen the biggest sack of the day come from that second level, those linebackers who managed to come through on a blitz. They've done a really good job. And the one part of this game that we really have to talk about, because we haven't said their names very much, that's how you know they're doing a good job, is the defensive backfield. For both Dak State and for Jamestown, the passing game has been non-existent for one team who really likes that and one team who really doesn't.
Jacob Giles, the quarterback for Dakota State, averages more than 300 yards through the air, has 21 touchdown passes on the season through the first 5 games. He's just 4 of 15 through the air, 29 yards. He has yet to get going, and there's 2 trains of thought you kind of said at the end. Either today's just not his day, or watch out in the second half, he may come alive.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and that's exactly what the adjustment's going to be in the locker room for these Dak State Trojans, trying to get that passing game going and developing the game plan that they came into today with that has gotten away from them a little bit. The good news is they ain't losing.
Let's take a look around the region now, presented by John Starlakis Incorporated. JSI celebrating more than 50 years of balancing progress with perspective for communications providers. The top 2 games on the top left of your screen are also North Star Athletic Association games, a couple teams that these 2 teams will see or have seen throughout the season already. Mary back at Bismarck, they're home against Minot State. That's a big one.
No doubt about it. The Battle of the Big Lake is always massive. It was a really fun game last year, and going at it again, Minot State trying to hold on. Meanwhile, Mary has a brand new trophy case that they are going to try and put that battle in, and it's always a good game. And
the only game tomorrow on our BEK Broadcasting Network can be seen right here on BEK Prime. Oral Roberts and North Dakota State, some Division I volleyball. You know a thing or two about that.
Just in Fargo yesterday as NDSU defeated the Pioneers of Denver, and that was the biggest win of the season for NDSU, bar none. Last year, NDSU and Oral Roberts was a thriller that went 5 sets. We expect very little to be different, though. If NDSU plays like they did yesterday against Denver, that thing may end fast in favor of the Bison.
You talked about it a little bit with me before the start of the game. After that game yesterday, North Dakota State have a chance at winning the Summit League?
I don't think there's any question. It was the preseason #1 in Denver that just came to the Benson Bunker Fieldhouse and lost. And they did so in 4 sets, one of them 25-15 in favor of North Dakota State. It's a Bison team that has already surprised a number of people, losing some really key players and relying on a bunch of freshmen, but those freshmen have shown up and shown out. And you add into that seniors at 2 of the most important positions on a volleyball floor in libero and setter. Think of that as your quarterback and your running back, and all of a sudden you're in just an amazing spot. And so now NDSU getting their freshmen in the right spots to succeed by virtue of their experienced players might be a lethal combination in the Summit.
Well, that's tomorrow. Corey will have your call for North Dakota State and Oral Roberts, 1 p.m. of first serve. That's the only game on the BEK Broadcasting Network tomorrow. Don't forget tonight, 6 p.m. If you want to catch the rodeo, we've got that right here on BEK Prime as well. We're at halftime right here from Jamestown on homecoming. The Jimmies are tied with the Dakota State Trojans, score of 7-7. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go through some stats for each of these teams. Get you ready for the second half on BEK Prime. Halftime in the Buffalo City as we continue on with the Farmers Union Insurance Halftime Report. Buying insurance should be more about getting it right than doing it fast. Farmers Union Insurance, simply different. We're all knotted up 7-7 between Dakota State Trojans and the Jamestown Jimmies. And it's been a battle of the defense, Corey, in the first 2 quarters, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it really has, and it's been enjoyable to watch because you've seen these 2 defenses get it done a little bit differently. For Jamestown, it really has. So we've said a number of times today, and we'll all likelihood continue to say as the Jamestown Jimmies retake the field. It started with that front 7. Meanwhile, for Dak State, it's been that defensive backfield who's really dictated and enabled the front group to do a little bit. We've seen the defensive ends and defensive tackles for these Dak State Trojans start to find their groove, and they're going to try and keep it going now. The good news for both these defenses is the game script is dead even. So the opposing offense isn't going to be able to go straight run or straight pass. You have to play it in a balanced look.
We'll take a look at some stats right now for each of these 2 teams. For Dakota State, Jacob Giles. We've talked about him a lot. A guy who has thrown for over 300 yards per game, 21 touchdowns in the first 5 games, has had a 7-touchdown performance already once this season. His numbers just aren't there today. 4 for 15 through the air, 29 yards, averaging less than 2 yards per attempt. He also hasn't been there running. 7 attempts, minus 17 yards. He does have the only touchdown on the ground, though, tonight for this Dakota State team, as they struggled to move the ball, but they did knot us up about halfway through the second quarter at 7-7. Brody Fredrickson, the running back, had started off very hot, was averaging nearly 10 yards per carry, still averaging about 6 yards per carry. 9 attempts, 52 yards. And then Hines has 3 carries for 42 yards, 14 yards per carry. So really it's a balanced offense between this Dakota State team, but usually getting it done more through the air. They're doing it more on the ground today, just 4 of 15 through the air for Jacob Giles. This Trojans offense has converted on just 1 out of 6 third down tries. They're 1 for 2 on fourth down. The one conversion that they got was a 2-yard touchdown run from Jacob Giles to tie this game at 7. For Jamestown, Dylan Klott is 5 for 7 through the air, a touchdown, 41 yards, averaging nearly 6 yards per attempt. And they're getting it done on the ground as well. Jackson He, 9 attempts, 58 yards, averaging more than 7 yards per carry. Jimmy Hatch has 9 attempts, 20 yards. Dylan Klott, 5 yards on his 1 carry. And Brandon Edwards has 1 yard on 1 carry, and end around for him. Receiving the ball, Jimmy Hatch has 3 catches for 24 yards. Josh Vergas, 1 catch for 4 yards. Brandon Edwards, the favorite target for Klott, has just 1 catch and only 3 yards, but does have the lone Jamestown touchdown in this game. It was his first touchdown of the season, went the first 5 games without a touchdown as the team's leading receiver, 17 receptions, entering the day 191 yards. No touchdowns, though. He does get a touchdown. His first of the season came back early in the first quarter to take a 7-7 lead. We'll step aside right now for the final time during our Farmers Union Insurance pregame show, halftime report rather, when we come back, second half kickoff. Welcome back to Jamestown alongside Corey Brooks. I'm Noah Reed, just a couple minutes away from our second half kickoff. We're all tied 7-7. The Jimmies scored first. The Trojans answered with a touchdown of their own about halfway through the second quarter. Corey, what kind of adjustments can each of these two teams make to kind of break away on offense or continue to keep it the same on defense?
I think for Jamestown, it's about getting a little bit more push in that running game. Obviously, they did a good job of it, right? And they continue to stick with it. That's important. But you're looking for a little bit more splashiness, if I may make up a word. And for Dak State, the adjustment is obvious. You have to get your air game going. They cannot win ball games in which they are limited in this way through that passing attack. They have that in them, and they just have to figure out how to make the adjustments. They just missed on not 1, but 2 touchdowns on the exact same play call, did they, at the very end of that half. And so you make those small adjustments, you clean that up, you take advantage, you try and identify where the weaknesses were. Perhaps they do exist on the outside. You didn't exploit them in half number 1. You try and do so in half number 2. Now the downside is you got to get that ball out quick because Jamestown ain't messing around up front.
7-7 the score right now. Jacob Giles, one of the leading passers in the nation at over 300 yards per game, limited to just 29 passing yards in that first half. 4 for 15 through the air. Wasn't a half to remember for him. He has yet to pass for less than 216 yards in any game this season. He's got a ways to go if he wants to match that. Just 29 yards for him. He won't see the field for the first drive. Jamestown won the toss and elected to defer to the second half, so the Jimmies offense will be on the field for the first drive of this second half. Tied 7-7, trying to regain the lead. They scored the first touchdown of the game on a short field. It was a fumble recovery near the 30-yard line. Didn't take long to punch it into the end zone. Led 7-0. Dakota State responded with a 4th down and goal conversion to tie us up at 7.
And you saw it there, the trees moving in the wind. I'm sure you can hear it on the microphones as well. And so perhaps that's another adjustment Dak State makes, maybe shortening up their passing game with a little bit more power out of the hands of Giles to try and fight through those howling gusts.
So Dakota State to kick it away to Jamestown to start the second half. Boot to leather, and we're underway here in the second half. From the 11-yard line, it's Edwards on the return. Cuts back towards the middle, and he's dropped at the 25-yard line. That's where the drive starts for Dylan Klott in the Jamestown offense. 1st and 10 from their own 25-yard line. Klott in the first half, 5 of 7 through the air, 41 yards and a touchdown. It was a 3-yard touchdown to Brandon Edwards. First touchdown of the season for Edwards, which is a little bit surprising. That's Klott's favorite target. Team leader, 17 receptions, 191 yards, averages over 11 yards per reception, but finally in the 6th game of the season gets his first receiving touchdown.
Yeah, and part of it too is that to this point, the Jamestown passing attack's been pretty limited.
Hatch is tripped up near the 30-yard line, stopped just short, picks up 4 to the 29, 2nd down and 6.
Makes him the Des Bryant of the North Star, a guy who has talent beyond question and is the #1 target in his offense, but just isn't part of a high-volume passing attack. And when it's working, there's no real issue with that. For Jamestown in the W last week, they'll take that 10 times out of 10.
An honorable mention, all-conference wide receiver a season ago. The numbers have dipped this season, though, in his senior campaign. High formation, Klott under center, again gives to Hatch. Runs over the left guard, and he's tripped up at the 33-yard line, and that brings up a 3rd down and 3.
And one thing that we often talk about and we really center on is the quarterback play, and that obviously affects your wide receiver numbers. But one ignored aspect of that is the offensive line. Jamestown's still working to develop that continuity up front, and lo and behold, in the game that they've won this year, the offensive line got some push, created some time. You make your running game better, and obviously your passing game ensues.
That's a little bit surprising. They had 6 offensive linemen back from a season ago, 2 all-conference guys in the offensive line, something Coach Cattell thought would be something to hang their hat on, be really strong.
Sure.
But it has been a little bit of a struggle this season as Klott keeps it himself out across to the 36. That's right at the sticks. It may be a measuring time here. Don't need to measure. 1st down in a new set of sticks for the Jamestown offense. 1st down and 10 from their own 36.
Good job by Jamestown getting just enough there. As you said, no need to bring those chain gang over from the far side. Just a measured, probing offensive approach from Jamestown. Very little in the way of halftime adjustments they need to make. They'll just look for a little bit more explosiveness. But that comes.
Hatch gets the give from Klott, and he stopped at the 38, picks up a couple, 2nd down and 8.
You just keep going. It's like in boxing. Body blow, body blow, body blow, boom, uppercut. And it's exactly how Jamestown is going to approach this. And again, when you're getting 3-4 yards per carry, that's enough to keep yourself moving. It's not sustainable over the entirety of a game, but it's pretty close.
Dating back to the first half, that was the 14th straight rushing attempt. Haven't attempted a pass in the last 15 plays. One of these times they might go for it, and it might strike big. 3 wide receivers set. Klott in the shotgun. He sends Vergas in motion and gives to him on the end around. Taken down across the 40, down at the 42-yard line. 3rd down and about 4 or 5.
And that's the other thing, too, as we talk about O-line play, and you evaluate an offensive line, you have to do it really in 2 mindsets. How's their run blocking? How's their pass blocking? For Jamestown, when the guys get to go forward and utilize those skills that you alluded to, they've done a better job this year. The pass pro isn't quite where it needs to be, and they know that, and it's just something that they've continued to get better at over the course of this season. It's a Jamestown team that possibly starting right here looks to be better in the second half than the first.
3rd down and 3. Hatch tries to get to the edge. Stiff arms one defender across midfield, picks up the 1st down and into Dakota State territory. Now the Jimmies are 5 for 9 converting 3rd downs today. They came in the worst in the conference, one of the worst in the nation at just 21%, only converted 14 of 67 3rd downs on the season. They've looked much different than that today, Corey.
They have. They've gotten it done in the ground, and the biggest part of that is consistently putting yourself in 3rd and short. When it's always 3rd, 7, 3rd, 8, 3rd and 11 we've seen today, good luck. But today they've stayed on schedule throughout the course of the ball game and put themselves in a much better spot.
Jackson, he into the backfield as Hatch goes out for the first time this drive. He gets the play call, and he's stopped right at the line of scrimmage. No gain, 2nd down and long.
The other thing, too, is you start to tire out the opposing defense when you have these long, extended drives, particularly when it requires the physicality of the ground game that Jamestown is continuing to use. Now, obviously, this is the first drive out of half number 2, so the Dakota State defense far from winded now, but that's a long-term investment that pays dividends throughout the course of half number 2.
Play action fake. Tries to deliver to the fullback and it falls incomplete. 3rd down and long. Jimmy's offense really hasn't wavered from running the ball. That's their MO. They won't hide it. That's what they want to do, and they have committed to it and stuck with it. We touched on this a little bit in the first half. That's something that they didn't necessarily do in the first 5 games. They would start out with a great rushing attack. They would get away from it, and sometimes, like you said, it was because, well, there was no rushing game. They had to try to get the pass game going.
Yeah, and the game script sometimes goes against you, too. You know, when you're down multiple scores, you can't consistently run the ball. And so they've kind of had to go to that passing game. But ideally, it sets up play action. I think that was a good play call by you, Jay, there. Just got blown up by Tortorella.
3rd down and 10. Pocket collapses on Klatt. Over the middle to Edwards and converts on 3rd down and 10 across to the 35-yard line. 2nd reception of the night for Brandon Edwards. But not so fast. There is a flag near the 40-yard line.
That was a really good job by Dylan Klatt, climbing the ladder, but it looks like that extra time was purchased for him via a hold. Remember, this is a spot foul, so it's 10 yards away from where, it's going against the defense. Still a spot foul, but it's good enough for a 1st down.
Another 3rd down conversion for this Jimmy's offense. Deep into Dakota State territory now. Ball at the 39-yard line. And they might want to decline this instead because Edwards caught that ball at the 35, so they would be losing 4 yards by accepting the penalty.
That's exactly what Coach Cattell came out, told the officials. Say, no thanks, we're good. They'll pick that ball up and spot it at the 35. You're exactly right, Noah.
So 1st down and 10 from the 35-yard line. The Jimmy's putting together a nice drive on their first drive out of the halftime break. It's a 3 wide receiver set. Edwards and Vergas, the 2 wide receivers at the top of your screen for Klatt in the shotgun. Sends Edwards in motion, gives to him on the end around, gets to the outside, and driven out of bounds by a pair of Dakota State defenders around the 30-yard line.
It's a nice job to try and seal that edge. Edwards does manage to pick up a quality 4 yards there. Looked like that outside contain was going to be there by Big 16, but gets away from him.
2nd down and 6 now. It was Michael Cleveland and Bailey Edwards in on the tackle for Dakota State. I formation. Here's Hatch. Across the 25, 1st down. He wants more inside the red zone and pushed out of bounds at the 16-yard line.
Good job there, takes the carry off the left side, has to get over one of his offensive linemen who was a little bit shaken up after that play. Jimmy Hatch is there to take advantage. It's the best drive of the day for Jamestown. Now the question will be, how does it end?
They've scored just 1 touchdown today, and that was on short fieldage. They recovered a Dakota State fumble and had the ball at the 30-yard line. This one started all the way back at their own 25, and now they're inside the red zone. Hatch gets back-to-back carries. Picks up 5 yards. He's down to the 11.
When you can get nearly the length of the field with 1 pass completion, that is how you know you are moving the ball well. And give a lot of credit to those guys up front. They have blocked well, and Jimmy Hatch has found those holes and taken advantage.
This drive has already taken 6 minutes off the clock and continuing. Edwards, the only wide receiver on the field at the bottom of your screen, I formation. 2nd down and 5. To Hatch once again, this not so much. He's stopped at the line of scrimmage, might have gotten 1 yard on the play.
Jimmy Hatch on the run. Gain of 2 on the
Our own Jesse Schwab right down at the 10-yard line, running the camera on the field. John Nathan and Ross Colhase up here with Noah and I on the mezzanine here in the Buffalo City. Jeff and Cole Willetsko back at the BEK Studios, the University of Mary, along with our director, Jared Calvert.
Our entire crew doing a great job today. 3rd down and 5. Can the Jimmies convert on their third down of this drive? Shot to the end zone. Edwards, touchdown, Jimmies!
Nice job by Dylan Klott. His second completion of the drive will also be the final completion of the drive. And it's Brandon Edwards who goes from 0 to 2 in a hurry. Touchdowns on the year. Target number 1, where's number 1? Runs that out route, gets by his guy, and a perfectly placed throw by Dylan Klott to the outside.
Corey said it, the honorable mention all-conference wide receiver from a year ago. Had 0 touchdown receptions through the first 5 games. Today he has both scores for the Jimmies. And the extra point is blocked, but it still goes through. That's how you know sometimes it's your day.
No doubt about it.
It's 14-7, Jamestown on top of Dakota State after 1 drive into the 3rd quarter. Nearly 8 minutes taken off the clock on the first drive of the second half, and it ends in a touchdown pass from Klott to Edwards. And the Jimmies retake a lead. They're up 14-7, kicking it away to the Trojans. Dakota State would like to answer that on their first drive.
That's picture perfect right there for Jamestown. You score and you keep your opposing quarterback, who's been itching for a chance to get back out there on the sideline for what feels like forever.
Waldner from the 16. Has plenty of room to run, and tripped up across the 45-yard line to the 46, a return of 30, and Dakota State has great field position on its first drive of half number 2.
Yeah, that's how you make it a whole lot easier on your offense. Say, look, here's the deal. We're going to get half the field basically for you from the word go. And when it's been a short field for Dakota State, they've taken advantage. That was also a special teams handoff. Now let's see what they do.
And this is a big drive now, too. Jacob Giles, we've said the numbers, they speak for themselves. Averages over 300 yards through the air, 21 touchdown passes in the first 5 games. Half number 1, he was 4 of 15 for 29 yards. Can the halftime play as a reset button?
He certainly hopes so.
He drops back to pass, airs it out, wobbly far sideline, and it's picked off! Falls incomplete, rather, he was out of bounds.
It was caught over on that far side, but not enough room to work. Fortunate for Dakota State that was an errant throw. If that was on line, it does wind up as an interception. But as you said, that wobble out of the hands of the gunslinger for Dakota State sends it too far to the sideline, and a fortunate break for Dakota State. That's the sideline they've looked to, but that time Jamestown made the adjustment and had safety help over the top.
2nd down and 10 from the 46. 3 wide receivers set. Opdahl at the bottom of your screen is Giles' favorite target. 40 receptions entering the day, 2nd most in the nation. And Dakota State can't figure out what they want to do. They need a timeout on just their 2nd play of the second half. 14-7, Jamestown up by a touchdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a second out.
Fredrickson runs for -2, but there is a flag towards the end of the play.
Penalty going against Dak State, a holding. Jamestown will say, nope, we're good on the Caleb Ellington tackle for a loss.
Brings up a 3rd down and 12 now from the 44. A 30-yard return on the kickoff out to the 46. Had the Trojans with great field position, but they're in danger of going 3 and out.
Yeah, you call a timeout on the 2nd play of the half for you, and then out of the timeout, it's tackle for loss that could have been a 10-yard penalty.
Giles to throw. Can he finally get something going? No. Tried to get to Galloway, threw it behind him. 4th down and 12.
And he's got to be a little bit surprised at how this game has gone. It has not gone this way all year, but that time he's too far behind his receiver. The incompletion forced, as you said, 3 and out.
If this tells you anything, the worst performance of the season for Giles entering today, 17 of 29 for 216 yards. Today, He's 4 of 18 for 29 yards. And Dakota State has to punt it away on 4th and 12. Edwards lets it bounce, and it goes into the end zone. That's a touchback. The Jimmies will take over at their own 25-yard line. First down and 10 for Dylan Klott in the offense. The first drive took more than 7 minutes off the clock, and it resulted in an 11-yard touchdown pass from Klott to Brandon Edwards, the second time those two have hooked up today. And that's the only 2 touchdowns of the game for Jamestown as well, leading 14-7.
And now if Jamestown's able to utter a repeat performance, they could kill off the entirety of this third quarter.
They passed just twice in that first drive. They were both completions to Edwards. And right back to the running game they go, and Jimmy Hatch gets himself 9 yards on the play out to the, rather just 4 yards out to the 29.
And you almost wonder for Jamestown, with the consistent running success they've had, and you want to keep going with it, obviously, but you put yourself in a position for that play-action shot that they just haven't really taken yet. You wonder if that's in the back of the minds.
Again, it goes to Hatch. Picks up enough for the first down out to the 33.
That run by Jimmy Hatch is good for Jimmy's first down.
I mean, at this point, Dakota State very often going a single high look, bringing a safety consistently into the box, trying to slow down that running game for Jamestown. The opportunity is there, but with the running game producing the most recent touchdown, as you said, just 2 completions, no need to bring that up, at least not yet.
143 yards on the ground for Jamestown today. They came in averaging 134 yards, so halfway through the third quarter, they've already eclipsed their season average. And that time, Hatch is met behind the line of scrimmage. He may have gotten back for no gain, but I think it's a loss of 1.
Yeah, I think Dak State may have had enough of this Jamestown running game. They're going to start to really crash the box here, bringing safety blitzes with regularity going forward. They know that Jamestown has no interest in throwing the ball, especially with that touchdown lead.
But that might be where what you just talked about a couple plays ago, that play-action shot might be coming at some point for the Jimmies.
It could. It's just a matter of, is Jamestown willing to call it and take that chance? Because obviously on any shot play, there are some negative repercussions if it don't work.
Here is the play action to the near sideline. Edwards has a first down and more. Across the 45-yard line, forward progress down to the 47 near midfield. Not necessarily a deep shot taken, but on a third down, you get enough for a first down, move the clock, move the chains, keep the drive going.
Absolutely, and the other part of that I really like is you bring Dylan out on that bootleg with Dak State crashing the middle, trying to slow down that run. You alter the point of attack there. Give Dylan a launching pad here on the near side, and he finds Edwards again. Those two have been exclusive over the course of this game. Well, that and the running backs.
4 catches in the afternoon for Edwards, team high. Back to the ground they go. Hatch bounces off one defender. He moves across midfield and down to the 49-yard line in Dakota State territory. Picks up 4 yards, second down and 6. This drive, well, these past 2 drives, this entire quarter has really been what Jamestown has wanted to do all season long. They've wanted to just attack with the ground game. It's resulted in a touchdown. They forced a punt for Dakota State on a 3-and-out.
Starting to find their identity, and now's the right time here in the beginning of North Star play. Obviously, Jamestown will want another shot versus VCSU, and they'll get it in November.
Hatch tripped up just shy of the 45-yard line.
Gain of 4 on the run by Hatch.
And another third down and short. It's a third down and long 2 yards.
The wind starts to pick up once again here in Jamestown. And obviously those are the teams you're usually consistently keeping an eye on here in the North Star. Valley City State, the young team, but a chance to really make some noise. Dickinson State obviously is the perennial leader, and I don't think any of us would be surprised if they come out on top. But those are the measuring sticks for you if you're Jamestown, if you're Dak State, playing here in the North Star.
Both of these teams 1-1 in the North Star. Here's the give to He was stopped short of the first down marker, but plunges forward to the 41. And that's now 5 consecutive third down tries that the Jimmy offense has converted. They're now 8 of 12 on the afternoon on third down.
It is worth noting this is the final year for Jamestown in the North Star. Yep. They'll be headed out of the conference after this season, so the last time these two teams meet up is right now, and you want to leave a bad taste in the mouth of your longtime rival down in Madison, and Jamestown has that opportunity here late in quarter 3.
Clock continues to run. This Jamestown offense has chewed up the clock in the third quarter, just over 3 minutes to play. Another handoff to He. And once again, he's hit almost immediately at the line of scrimmage, is able to twist his way down to the 36-yard line, picks up 5.
Yeah, it has really been an exemplary effort by both backs, and He and Hatch for Jamestown. They have made the plays consistently that you need to make in order to win a game against an opponent who is receiving votes in the national poll. Jamestown can strip them of that honor in a hurry if they can hold on over the course of the next quarter and 2.5.
Dakota State's 3-2 on the season, but in the words of Coach Anderson, 4 combined points, 3 to 4 plays away from being undefeated, and
sure,
probably ranked in the top 25 if you're undefeated.
Absolutely.
He again, very patient in the backfield. He bursts across the 30-yard line and give Jamestown another first down.
You said it, exactly. He does a really good job of sitting back, waiting, almost stopping, but continuing his forward momentum. You see it right here. Reading, there it is, go. And he does a good job of just going ahead, getting the first down. It is not, air it out. It's not what some people want to see, but it is effective, it is consistent, and it is working in a big way right now for Jamestown.
The dual back has worked for Jamestown tonight. Hatch 79 yards on 20 carries. Jackson has 68 yards on 13 carries. Play action rollout over the middle to Hatch, and he's met immediately at the line of scrimmage. He might have even lost a yard, second down and long.
And that'll happen. I mean, when you're running the ball, you're going to have negative plays. You're going to have plays that are held up, just as you are when you're throwing the ball. You have incompletions, but give Jamestown a lot of credit. They have not wavered throughout the course of this ball game as Dakota State continues to try and find the right combination to stop it. Guys in the box, safety blitzes. They've gotten a little bit better, but still, on these one-on-one Oklahoma moments, it has been the Jamestown running backs getting the better edge.
That was LeVar Colbert, the junior, who met Hatch immediately. As soon as he caught the ball, ripped him down, second and long. Again, play action. And that's just past the reach of the intended target.
Yeah, it was well covered. Not a whole lot you could do there, especially on the run. Dillon had to get rid of the ball quick. Again, going for that play action bootleg to the near side, but not a ton of space. You'd like to see something a little bit closer, but it goes as it goes.
A nice job by Bailey Edwards, too, the linebacker. He was untouched into the backfield on the blitz and really rushed that throw from Claude. Third down and long, 1:06 remaining in the third quarter. The Jimmies up by a touchdown. Driving deep into Dakota State territory, they're trying to make it a 2-score game.
Ben Stanoson's lined up on the left side of the line as a tight end.
The give to Hatch, gets to the outside, and the ball's loose. But it looks as if the Jimmies are back on top of it.
Martinez with a fumble recovery.
Fortunate for Jamestown to just hold on there. Christian Martinez falls on that football. 4th down and 5. Jamestown staying alive barely. We've already seen in this game points off of turnovers having a humongous impact. That accounts for half of the Jimmy scoring. Now, though, they have no interest in points. They're going for it on 4th.
The first time they've gone for it on 4th down today. Can it keep the drive alive? And a timeout, Jamestown just ahead of the snap. 30 seconds remaining, Jamestown up 14-7. They've got a 4th down and 5 coming after the break. 4th down and 6 coming for Jamestown from the 24. They need to get to the 18 for a first down to keep the drive alive. 30 seconds remaining before the end of the third quarter. 3 wide receivers set. Clot airs it out, and that's short to his intended target, and Edwards Dakota State takes over on downs from their own 24, and that might be the momentum, the push that the Trojans needed.
Yeah, Dylan trying to find his #1 target again. It's a well-run route by Brandon Edwards. He would have had plenty of space to get beyond the sticks there and create the first down. If you're Dak State, I'm not sure how you're not rolling coverage over that way. He has every completion of note in this ball game, but a fortunate break there for the Trojans. The good news for Jamestown is that defense is well rested. They have not been asked to do very much in half number 2. 3 plays to the extent of about a minute of game time.
Giles has a 3 wide receiver set. He's in the gun. Gives to Fredrickson on the first play. Met at the line of scrimmage. There's a whole bunch of black jerseys there.
Yeah, the Jamestown swarm to the football has been really good today. And one of the biggest differences between Jamestown and Dak State in the running game is when the Jimmies have gotten there to create a tackle opportunity, they have made those tackles. Dak State's missed one-on-one more than they'd like.
Giles finds Opdahl. And that's the first time today that Opdahl has a catch. He was second in the nation entering today with 40 receptions. It took him until the last play of the third quarter to get his first catch. 3rd down and long into the third quarter. 4th and final quarter. It's going to be an exciting one. You won't want to go anywhere here on BEK Prime.
Let's have a big hand for University of Jamestown Big Orange Pep Band under the direction of Roy Zanzo and student conductor Alex Novel.
Start of quarter number 4 from Jamestown. 14-7 the Jimmies lead Dakota State. The Trojans have a 3rd down and long from their own 28-yard line.
These sticks seem to have migrated on the far side of the field. Officials adjust it. Now we're ready to go.
That last pass completed for 4 yards on the last play by Giles of the third quarter. That was his first completion of the second half. He looks to convert on 3rd down, finds a man, it's Opdahl across midfield and taken down to the 46-yard line, and there's a flag in at the end of the play as well. If there's a time for them to get going, Giles to Opdahl, they're picking the right time.
No doubt about it. You have to get this passing game going. You want to look for your #1 target, just as Jamestown has. This may be tacked on yardage. I don't know what the penalty would be, but
it came in after the play.
yeah, and at the point of the catch too. An illegal block in the back against these Trojans. So a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul basically takes the gainer off the board.
Like we said at one point in the first half, anytime they do something right, it just seems the next play, or in this case at the end of the same play, they do something to shoot themselves in the foot, hurt them, go backwards.
Yeah. Still a 1st down because of the length of the gain, and you'd redo 1st down regardless. But nevertheless, an unfortunate break there for Dakota State.
1st down and 10 from their own 41. The Trojans down by a touchdown at the beginning of the 4th quarter. Here's the give to Hines across midfield, plenty of room to run.
Wow.
And finally ripped out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
You want to know the difference between a 1st quarter run and a 4th quarter run? It's the end right there. Hines was galloping towards the sideline. He easily could have gone out of bounds, but knowing that at this late juncture, every yard matters, he stays in, lowers his shoulder, and fights for those extra yards. That was not easy. It hurt, but it worked.
35 yards on the ground from Hines, deep into Jamestown territory, down to the 24. The Trojans knocking on the door of the red zone. Haven't been in the red zone since their touchdown score in the 2nd quarter. And that's another nice run for Hines across the 20 to the 18. He picks up 6.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Noah, this Dak State offensive line looks rejuvenated for whatever reason. You can see on the right side there, Greg Rodriguez puts his guy in the dirt, and you don't usually see that type of block.
Could it be that they were only on the field for 3 plays in the third
might
quarter?
be it. You know, actually, that is logical, although the Jamestown defense hasn't exactly been involved either.
That's true. 3 wide receivers set. It's a second down and long 4. Giles to throw, takes a shot to the end zone. Falls incomplete, but there's 2 penalty flags in. The Jamestown faithful doesn't like it, Corey. I think it's the right call.
Yeah, they won't like it, but it is indeed the correct decision. A good step gained by Opdahl. It's a really nice throw as well by the senior hurler. You can see it, there's a tie-up, and anytime you get a tie-up, you have to make a determination, and it's going to go against the defense. Ball, we put it to 2.
That was Troy Stewart on the pass interference call, and he's kind of been there in a lot of good ways today. He has really limited Opdahl. This team's leading wide receiver has been on a few pass breakups. That's the first time tonight he's really had a call go against him.
Yeah, no doubt. He's done a really good job today, and there he was very close. It's just he lost that initial step to, as you alluded to, one of the top receivers in the country, and certainly no shame in that. Tried to make sure that it didn't result in a touchdown, and look, the last time we were here on first down and goal from the 2, it took them 4 tries for these Trojans to score. Jamestown will take their chance once again.
After the pass interference, it's a first down and goal from the 3. 3 wide receivers set, Giles in the gun. The give to Hines. Down at the 1-yard line. Corey just alluded to it. They had a first and goal from the 2 earlier in the second quarter. They did score, but it took a 4th down conversion to get into the end zone. And hurry up here.
Quarterback sneak.
Quarterback sneak it is. No signal yet. I don't think he got in.
Nope.
Whistled down inside the 1-yard line.
That's tough. You try and get to the line fast, disorient the defense. All you need is an inch. They don't get it. I really thought he did on that initial surge, but the official determination is the nose of that football is right next to that goal line. On 3rd down last time, the run was stuffed. They went to the pass on 4th, and it turned into a run on the QB keeper. I believe on 3rd it was a quarterback draw, spread 'em out look for Dak State that last time. A little bit more traditional. They stay in that pistol that they've lived in.
Giles keeps it. The signal is a touchdown. There is a couple flags on the play.
I think Jamestown might be the beneficiaries of a cut block on the backside.
Personal foul.
It is indeed that shot block coming against Dak State. You get a chance to look at it on the replay. You can see it clear as day on the backside. Good job to roll out right there. Straight at the knees, just trying to take the guy out. May not have even been necessary, but it turns into a 15-yard penalty, and all of a sudden the outlook on first down and goal from the 2 once again looking bleak for Dak State.
3rd and goal from the 16, not exactly the way Dakota State drew it up. 4 wide receivers set. Opdahl, the wideout at the top of your screen, the favorite target for Giles. Plenty of time to throw, he's flushed out. Shot to the end zone, it is broken up.
Give a lot of credit to the Jamestown defensive line there. That pressure just saved a touchdown. That post route was open in the back of the end zone, but because they were rolling left, that throw wasn't made till later, and it winds up falling incomplete. And on 4th down, Dak State has to settle for the field goal try. Our first attempt of the day.
And into the wind nonetheless.
Yeah.
The Jamestown faithful to their feet, making some noise. Up and on its way. And it's no good.
A high snap may have disrupted the rhythm there just a little bit. The snapping has not been on point. Both holders have done a good job of making that an unimportant factor until now. The field goal, no good for Dakota State, and with 11:48 to go in this game, if Jamestown is able to orchestrate a Jamestown drive, it might be the haymaker.
Corey, I don't think we can say enough about the Jamestown defense today. This is a Dakota State team that entered just under 500 yards average of total offense, top 15 in the nation. Today, 151 total yards.
Yeah, it's been outstanding.
And he is tripped up after he picks up 8 yards down to the 28-yard line, second down and short. And how about this? There have been a first and goal on the 2-yard line twice today. They did get into the end zone. Dakota State did get in the end zone one time, but that was on a fourth down conversion. It took them 4 plays to go 2 yards. That last time, they couldn't convert on a third down and goal from the 16, missed the field goal. The defense has been great, especially down by the goal line.
Look at it this way, 8 plays in that situation, only 1 that was positive for 2 yards, and over the course of those 8 plays, they actually lost more than they gained.
Another give to He. Marked down at the 30-yard line.
Right at the line to gain. They're going to give it to him, first down.
They don't need to bring the chain gang out, first down. They mark it down at the 31, so pickup of 3 when he needed 2.
The other thing that Jamestown has been impressive with is it's been all levels of the defense. The defensive line has plugged the holes. The linebackers have come in blitzes or dropped into coverage, and the defensive backs have had their best game of the year for Jamestown.
The defense of Jamestown has been the story today, really limiting Giles in that explosive offense. And here's He. Across the first down, 13 yards on the pickup to the 44-yard line. The dual back system working to perfection for Jamestown today. 84 yards on 21 carries for Hatch, 89 yards on 15 carries for Jackson He.
And I'll tell you what, it was a frustrating start to the year, obviously, for Jamestown, mostly in their out-of-conference slate, also with VCSU. But if there's a time to find your footing, it's in this heart of conference play, and Jamestown seems to be doing so.
Third consecutive give to He. This time might have lost a yard, stopped just shy of the line of scrimmage. And you said it, that's the thing. Last week was their first win of the season, dropped their first 4, but it was only the second conference game of the year, so they're 1-1. With a win today, yeah, you might be 2-4, but you're 2-1 in the conference.
No doubt about it, and you're right there. You still have a chance to go up against old number 1, and so there's still plenty of season left for Jamestown, in addition to the fact they're going to get that rematch with Valley City State. But important to note here, even as this game starts to feel Jamestown orange, it's only 7 points the difference.
Flag comes in behind the play. He is stopped at the 45. That might be coming back with a holding, and it is.
That's the other thing, too, for Jamestown. They started this game with a batch of penalties and have really cleaned it up in really the early start of 2 and throughout this second half. Jamestown has been the beneficiary of the penalty much more often than they have been the guilty party.
So second down and a long way to go, about 20 after the holding penalty. After 4 consecutive gives to Jackson he comes out of the game and replaced by Jimmy Hatch.
And for what penalties there have been for Jamestown, you think about the pass interference in the end zone times 2. It once barely backfired, and the other time not at all.
Up by a touchdown, 14-7, just over 9 minutes to play. The Jimmies have 8 up the clock here in the second half running the ball. It's a pass this time out to Burgess, his second catch of the day, and gets out to the 39-yard line. It's still a third down and long ways to go after the pickup of 6.
Good quick button hook just to get some of that lost yardage back. Give yourself a chance for a first down on a pass here on third. As you said, just the second time we said Josh's name today. He has been one of the missing men in the flurry of targets for Edwards on the outside.
Third down and 14 to go. Trips to the top of your screen, Hatch in the backfield. Dakota State shows blitz. And clock just gets rid of it. Flag comes in.
That ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. That is the conversation point right now. And that's why it's intentional grounding.
Number 11, the pass never made it back from line of scrimmage.
And so you see him roll out. You say, look, it doesn't matter. He's out of the tackle box. And that's true as long as the ball gets back to the line of scrimmage. If you do not get it back to that point, intentional grounding is the correct call. It's administrated correctly here. And now a breath of life for Dakota State.
That was Marcus Vandenbosch, the freshman linebacker that went untouched into the backfield and forced that. So 4th down and a mile to go. Jamestown has to punt it away.
34 officially. Whoa.
And a low lining punt. Does take a bit of a Jamestown bounce. Touched up at the 48-yard line. So Dakota State has had great field position almost all day long. They've only put 7 points on the board. 8:07 remaining, halfway through the 4th quarter. They take over near midfield and a chance to even this game up.
That's a really good punt considering the high snap delayed that opportunity for a while. Nevertheless, you get it off. But for Dak State, again, you need just half the field. They've been all right with the short field, but have not done nearly enough.
Jacob Giles in the offense back out onto the field for Dak State. Top 10 in the country at over 300 yards per game. He's just 5 of 18 for 33 yards today. He gives to Hines, who goes across midfield and is dropped at the 49, picks up 2 yards.
Trojans just looking for a little bit of something here. They go to that read option, something they haven't done a ton of. Nevertheless, Jamestown was ready for it, forcing the short gainer.
4 wide receivers set for Giles in the pistol. To throw, airs it out far sideline, well over his intended target, Mason Layton, the freshman.
And so at this point, no matter what, it's going to be a disappointing day on the whole for this Dak State passing game, but you can erase the grand bulk of it right here. 3rd and long, a big spot, gifted a short field. 3 and out, might even be off the table. You might be going for it on 4th. You're running out of time.
3rd down and 8, very likely could be a 2-down territory.
And it depends on what happens here. If there's some positive movement forward, you go for it on 4th.
Hit as he throws down the far sideline, and it's broken up. Stewart in on the pass breakup, and it's a 4th down and 8. That was Purnell, excuse me, not Stewart in on the pass breakup.
That is a really good job by Purnell over on that far sideline, reaching in without interfering and knocking it away. Also give Jamestown credit. They needed that contact as that ball went up in the air, or it was going to look a whole lot different. Because they didn't gain anything, they're going to punt and try and get Jamestown off the field one final time.
A 3 and out again after having great field position. Can they pin the Jimmies back inside their own 20? The answer is no.
Fortunate. I think very nearly died, but it takes a friendly roll. The elements have been kind to Jamestown. The wind has helped them out a couple times, and now the grass here at home pushes it into the end zone, and now it's a game-defining drive for Jamestown. If they can get into their 4-minute offense successfully and knock out 7 minutes or so, they're going to win this football game. They have a chance to win it with the ball in their hands. You can't ask for much more versus a team receiving votes nationally.
Jamestown loves to run the football. That's their MO. They've had 40 rushing attempts today, just 14 pass attempts. And I know you're up by a touchdown 7 minutes ago, want to take the time off, but this is one of those times where you could probably see them going for that play action shot and really trying to put this game away, up a couple touchdowns.
They haven't been afraid to do that, but you always have to strike that balance. You almost definitely run it on 1st, unless you're looking for that tendency breaker. Nope. Ho-ho!
Trickery, halfback pass, and just overshoots Burgess.
That's the right idea. If you're going to do it big. It doesn't work. It's incomplete. And give Dakota State a lot of credit, because I think that was the furthest thing from the minds of any of us. But the Dak State coverage was right there. Still, though, if that pass is online, that could have been massive for Jamestown.
So 2nd down and 10 now from the 20-yard line. Clock stops. That's a good sign for Dak State.
And the problem now is throwing it on 1st down. You kind of just put yourself behind. Let's see what they can do on 2nd.
Hatch gets 3 out to the 23, 3rd down and 7. Halfway through the 4th quarter, we tick under 7 minutes.
And now's a measure of the aggressiveness of a coach. You can run it, play it conservative, and knock off another minute or so, or you can throw it. But first, an injury timeout. They'll tend to that
and
first and foremost.
That's Jimmy Hatch, the running back, down on the ground for the Jimmies. We'll step aside real quick. 6:51 left. The Jimmies up by a touchdown. Jimmy Hatch had to be helped off the field. The running back has been the leading rusher tonight. 84 yards on 21 carries for the Jimmies offense on 3rd down and long. That drops incomplete, well short of the intended target. Brings up 4th down, and now the look for Dakota State to punt it on 4th down instead of going for it. Comes up in a positive. They get the ball back less than a half a minute later.
Yeah, that's exactly how you draw it up. If you're Dakota State, if you're Jamestown, you have to appreciate the play calling. I know it didn't work out,
right?
But you want to be aggressive. You want to try and put this team away. Unable to convert it now, and so once again, you lean on your defense. Also worth noting, Hatch couldn't put any pressure on that right leg at all, which means in all likelihood for the rest of this game, it's he in the backfield for Jamestown.
A very kind Jamestown bounce on the punt, and Ellingson touches it at the 29-yard line. So 71 yards to go for this Dakota State offense. 6:27 remaining. They're down by a touchdown on the road.
That was a big-time punt right there with the roll, just about 58 to 60 yards on the end result. You give the Jamestown defense plenty of time to work, and on the flip side, Dak State gets another chance.
The Trojans offense has not moved the ball well at all today, but to call them incapable of going 71 yards in 6:27 would be flat out wrong. An offense that averages nearly 500 yards of total offense a game. They've had just 151 today, though. A shot down the field to Opdahl, and he makes the grab. Inside Jamestown territory, down to the 41. And Jacob Giles, makes an incredible throw down the field. Opdahl with an even better catch.
Yeah, they have loved that far sideline today, have these Trojans of Dakota State. And now they're going to put the game in the hands of their quarterback.
Here's the give to Hines. Out across the 35 and tripped up by Ellingson. Picks up 6. It's a 2nd down and 4.
Gain of 5.
So just like that, the Trojans right back in range, but they've been here so many times today. It's a matter of finishing that drive, and now the field goal basically off the table.
Giles finds Galloway over the middle. 1st down across the 30 down to the 28-yard line. That moves the sticks.
Galloway has been covered up pretty well today by this Jamestown defense. There he just runs that in-breaking route, finds a little bit of space, and a 2nd injury for Jamestown.
Officials timeout on the injury after the 1st down. We'll take this break with them. 1st down and 10 from the 28, 5:40 remaining in the game. The Jimmies up by a score. 1st down and 10 now for this Dak State offense from the Jamestown 28-yard line. They trail by a touchdown, 5:33 and rolling in the game.
Keith Rogers runs off the field under his own power. Jamestown might get him back. They could use him on defense here. He's been great.
3 wide receivers set for Giles. Plenty of time to throw. Takes a shot down the field. It was short to Galloway and falls incomplete. Galloway, that time the wide receiver, turned into the defensive back. He did a nice job to make that go incomplete instead of intercepted.
Yeah, he did a really good job playing a little bit of defense there. A case for OPI to be made. What an outstanding blitz pickup by the offensive line of Dak State, though. Giles winds up taking the shot regardless, and he gets hit hard. But, man, they gave him ample opportunity. He just missed the throw. We've said that a few times today, and he will be frustrated watching this film next week.
Here's the give to Hines, and he's wrapped up. A pickup of 2 on the play. 3rd down and 8. Jacob Giles just 5 of 19 through the air, 33 yards. That's about 270 yards under his average.
The Jamestown bench getting the Jamestown fans fired up. 4-down territory without question now for Dak State.
Under 5 to play, 3rd and 8 from the 26. Delayed handoff, Hines. first down and more into the red zone, down to the 15-yard line, and that's a big-time play for Hines.
No doubt about it. You deliver a little bit of a crowd settler, relax the fans here at Raleigh-Greeno Field, and then you set yourself up inside that red zone. Ball at the 15-yard line.
96 yards on the ground on just 7 attempts for Hines tonight, averaging nearly 14 yards per carry. He's been the go-to back. He gets it again on first down. Breaks through one tackler, tripped up at the 6-yard line, picks up 9 more on that.
You kept getting the feeling that as Jamestown was unable to separate themselves in this ball game, you continued to hand opportunities to an offensive juggernaut. And look, that juggernaut has not imposed their way down the field by any means, but they have found themselves on the precipice, and now the Jamestown defense does another huge stand.
2nd down and 1, this time to Fredrickson. No gain on the play, 3rd and 1.
They're a couple plays away from it. This is where the Jamestown D has been at its best. We talk about those 1st down and 2s right up against that goal line. It may as well be that right here, as they need about 2, 1.5, do the Dakota State Trojans.
Here's Hines. Breaks away from one tackler, pitches it back to Giles. You've got to be kidding me. What a way to score.
Touchdown, Trojans.
Just how they drew it up, right, Corey?
Yeah, high risk, high reward right here. The chance that your quarterback is not ready. Nice job to call for it. Actually, Giles is clapping his hands, saying, give me the ball, let's do it. That's a senior play right there. Nicely done by the mobile quarterback. And a good job by the running back in trusting his leader to deliver it. And an obviously massive extra point.
It's not pretty, but when you can get into the end zone, you get into the end zone.
Yeah.
3:13 remaining, extra point to tie it up. And we're tied. 3:13 remaining, 14 all. You won't want to go anywhere. 14-14, 3:13 remaining in the game. And a unique way to score a touchdown, I guess you could say. The give was to Hines. He was hit in the backfield, tossed it back to Giles, the quarterback who ran into the end zone to tie this thing at 14 apiece.
Giles played every position on that one. Started as the quarterback on the handoff, turned into a running back on the pitch, and had to do a little bit of wide receiver as well as he reaches out with one hand to secure it. That is some athleticism on display, and it gets Dakota State the ability to erase nearly this whole game. It's basically a 3-minute football game right now.
Edwards from the 16, wrapped up just shy of the 30-yard line. They'll mark him right at the 30-yard line. 1st and 10. They have 70 yards to go with 3:08. Not necessarily 70 yards, I guess. Close enough to get a field goal in.
Sure. The wind playing havoc, but Jamestown does have it at their back. That'll bolster any effort there as they try and find this victory. Dakota State has done a really good job on the defensive end of keeping Jamestown close, giving their offense innumerable opportunities to make that comeback. They finally do. Now does the Dakota State D have one last stand in them to give Giles and company one shot in regulation.
Claude in the shotgun to pass on 1st down, finds Vergas on a short route. Out to the 34-yard line, picks up 4, 2nd down and 6.
That has been the Vergas route today. They have looked to him on the near side. It picks up 3, keeps the clock moving. And it's tough for Jamestown because you want to go pedal to the metal. You're just not necessarily equipped to do it when your tempo has been so slow today.
How do you play this? Do you continue to run it, which is what Jamestown has had a lot of success, or under 3 minutes do you have to start passing?
No, you can't get out of your game plan. You're not losing. It's a tie game. Do what you do. Keep going. You've got plenty of time, 2:30 when the clock stops.
They pass for a 2nd consecutive down. Edwards is wide open across the 1st down sticks. Across midfield, he sheds one tackler down to the 46. There is a flag near midfield.
Clock stops every time you move the chain, so it'll pause here, but it'll also hold up on the enforcement penalty, a holding over on that far side of the field.
Holding, number 17 on the offense,
The wide receivers asked to go out and block, and this time it will backfire against Jamestown.
That was Tyler Schertz, the sophomore, whistled for the holding.
So it's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, worth noting. So the completion still makes an impact as the ball is spotted at the 38-yard line. Amounts to about a 4-yard gain.
It's a second down and short, too. Inside the 38, need to get to the 40 for a first down. Just over 2 minutes to play in a 14-14 tie. Both touchdowns tonight have been scored by Edwards through the air. Here's the give. Down to the 40, the Jamestown sideline whistling for a first down.
It's going to be very close, and they are going to go ahead and give it to him first down, and that's Jackson He on the carry. He is the back for Jamestown. Hatch had that injury earlier to his right leg, so he'll be their guy. 2 minutes to get in field goal range for Jamestown. They're on the right pace.
Hatch is standing, walking on his own power, but he's talking with the training staff on the Jamestown sideline. Klott flushed out of the pocket, and it's completed to Schertz at the 45-yard line. Picks up 5 on the first down completion, second down and 5.
Really good by Dylan to climb the ladder there. You'd like to see that in stride, but they'll take it.
And with that, there's a timeout called by Jamestown. Their second of the second half, just one more remaining. Second down and 5 from the 45 when we come back.
For the Jim Clark recognition ceremony, there will be
Schedule.
Second down and 5, 1:33 remaining. The Jamestown offense has a 3 wide receiver set with Klott in the shotgun. To throw on second and 5 over the middle. Overshoots his defenders, but there is a whole bunch of flags thrown. Pass interference on the defense. That will move Jamestown across midfield and into Dak State territory.
Yeah, DSU has not gotten a ton of PI calls against them today. They will get one here, and it's going to be a big one for Jamestown. Now remember, it's a 10-yard penalty. It's not the National Football League. So the ball is not moved to the spot of the foul. Still a big gain and really good recognition by Klott, who basically caught that snap and let it go, and that pop throw works. Now Jamestown close to field goal range, but still a ways to go. From where they are right now, it would be 62 with the wind, which is obviously not makeable.
1:28 remaining in the game. Ball at the 45-yard line. 4 wide receivers, trips to the top of your screen. Quick throw to Schertz, and that goes right through his hands. That ball was up in the air for a little bit of time.
Yep, I think the hearts of everybody in the stadium just skipped a beat. And that made a huge difference right there. With 1:24 to go, that could have been devastating for Jamestown. But again, a fortunate bounce for the Jimmies as it just hits the grass. DSU showing blitz. They're going to back out of it.
Burgess in motion. Klott keeps it himself, plunges ahead to pick up 1, maybe 2. Third down and long with the clock moving.
And a player down for Jamestown, so an injury timeout on the field on third down. And with 1:12 to go now, Jamestown's going to have the ability to do a few different things. Obviously, you can run the ball, look to try and pick up that first down. The other things that you can do are look for that pass, because if you get to that line to gain, the 35-yard line, you hand it off 3 times, you kick the field goal.
Jamestown has just 1 timeout left. 14-14 tie, 1:12 remaining. A little bit of look at that wind. That seems a little calmer than what it's been all day long.
Yeah, Jamestown is probably rooting for a little gust here as they get closer and closer to field goal range. But the interesting thing will be is if they throw it and it's an incompletion or a run for little gain on 4th down, it's too far for a field goal. You really don't want to punt, but you may have to. Or Do you go full bore aggressive?
That was Alex Nelson, the sophomore right guard, being helped off the field after the injury. Clock rolls now, 3rd down and a long 8. Trips to the top of your screen for Clot. Over the middle, drops incomplete.
Big decision for Jamestown right here. The game hangs in the balance as Zeb Tabor was unable to cash in there.
2 timeouts left for Dak State. You almost got to punt it away, right? You don't want to give them the ball at the 45-yard line with 2 timeouts and 1 minute and 2 seconds left.
You've got a senior quarterback. If you trust him, you can take this chance. If you get this 1st down, you are in all likelihood going to get a quality field goal try. The other thing worth noting, we've already seen Dylan do 1 pooch punt. This would be a really good spot for it if they go to that.
The offense still out on the field.
He's going to do that. That's why he just took a few steps back. That got blocked.
Does take a fantastic Jamestown bounce, though, and downed at the 11.
Good job by the Jamestown guys. They're looking at the officials. We're not going to touch it. If you guys want to stand here, we'll stand here all day. Eventually, the ball halts all movement, and the officials say, all right, that is where it is down. So 89 yards, the requirement for these Dakota State Trojans to score a touchdown. Obviously, you need probably a little more than half of that to try and set up a field goal try. The other thing that looms pretty large is the missed field goal earlier in this game for Dakota State.
And it was on this side as well. They have to kick into the wind if they get deep enough. 48 seconds left, tie game. 1st and 10 from the 11. This Dakota State offense has not moved the ball real well today, up to the 14, pickup of 3 on the ground. They sure have the capability, especially with a senior quarterback in Jacob Giles.
They do, but that run indicates to you that Dakota State's going overtime. They are not going to try and drive 89 yards. They feel it's too much, that the way they've played today is not conducive to that. They'll look and see if they can't find something explosive, but they are playing for the extra period. And that will be the final play of regulation. 4 is not enough in the Buffalo City, Noah.
Free football. Would you want it any other way on your Saturday afternoon? 14-14 is our score right now. The Jamestown defense has been phenomenal all day long. They're going to continue into overtime on BEK Prime.
14-14 will go to overtime.
Free football from the Buffalo City today. Why end it in 60 minutes when you can play more, Corey?
No doubt. Each team has really played well, earning their opportunity to be here. Jamestown played well early. Dak State played well late. You combine those two and you find 0 degrees of separation. And so the Trojans of DSU and the Jimmies of Jamestown for the all-important overtime coin toss. It's where 50-50 starts to take center stage here in college football and NFL as well. The coin toss just as important. It always makes for a fun moment, and now these two teams can put everything behind them that happened in regulation. And for Jamestown, that's a bit of a disappointment. For Dakota State, they have to love a blank slate.
Jamestown won the 1st and 3rd quarters. Dakota State won the 2nd and 4th quarters. We're even on the scoreboard, 14-14. And I think you said it. Dakota State loves a clean slate right now. They played nowhere near their best football. And I think on their side, to be going into overtime, you're almost fortunate. It's a game you probably shouldn't have won.
Yeah, and for Dak State, like you said, they were on their heels, but you have to give this defense a lot of credit. We've said a lot about Jamestown's group on the defensive end, and they deserve that praise. But Dakota State, time and time again, weathered the storm. They did not give up that explosive play in the running game that we talked about that could have defined the second half for Jamestown. And now Dakota State won the coin toss. And they will, of course, elect to get the ball second in the collegiate overtime. So Jamestown's going to go first. Remember, you have to match what your opponent does in a huge spot here in overtime in the Buffalo City.
And don't forget, there's no kickoff. It's not like you have to drive the length of the field. The ball is placed at the 25-yard line. Have just 25 yards to go to score a touchdown. And of course, Jamestown picked to head this way because they have the wind behind them as well if they need it on a field goal.
Absolutely. The other interesting part about it is, as you analyze teams in the short field today, Jamestown has been the much better of the two, and now it's nothing but short field in OT.
Jackson, he ripped down after a pickup of 1, may have gotten 2 on the play, 2nd down and long. Winner of this game improves to 2-1 in the North Star Athletic Association. For Jamestown, it's a chance to really get things going. You started 0-4 on the season. You finally get your first win. It was a conference win a week ago. A chance to make it 2 in a row and get the foot moving forward, going up 2-1 in the conference.
It's a springboard game for both teams. For Jamestown, springing back from a very difficult start. For Dakota State, trying to prove they're legit and avoid that stumbling block here in North Dakota.
Back to they go. He bounces off one of his own linemen, and he's met at the line of scrimmage. 3rd down and a long 8.
And now you got to trust your senior quarterback to make a play for you. The Dak State defense crushes the runs on the first 2, recognizing what Jamestown wants to do in the short field. It's 3rd down and long, and as you said, Jamestown will feel all right about a field goal try, but special teams has not been a forte for either team in this particular game.
If the Jimmies pick up nothing on this play, it will be a 40-yard field goal attempt to follow. 4 wide receivers set, 2 to each side. Clot to throw, and he throws it behind Burgess, drops incomplete. 4th down and 8.
That was behind Josh that time. No chance he could catch it. Josh did a good job to try and just reach back. And here comes the field goal unit for Jamestown. As you alluded to, Noah, 40 with the wind. Makeable, but further than you'd like. So now, if this is made, Dakota State can win the game with a touchdown, send it to a second overtime with a field goal, or lose it. If this is missed, Dak State can win with a field goal.
It's down, 40-yarder, and it's blocked. Wow. Dakota State has been behind all game long. Special teams, they've missed a field goal of their own. Haven't had the best of days. They block an overtime field goal attempt. And they don't switch sides of the field either. That's the thing. You're going into the wind.
Yep. And all of a sudden, the momentum has swung in a big way. Dakota State now can win this game with a field goal. They've already missed one today, but they'll have the wind with them, as opposed to coming down the other way. And just like that, as has been the case all day, Dakota State is handed an opportunity on offense.
Giles rolls out, connects with a man across the 1st down marker. That's the freshman Mason Layton.
Mason Layton on the catch.
Nice job by Dakota State. That's a really good play action decision. Rolling Giles to the left. Jamestown thinks you're going to run the ball because that's what you've done a little bit more of here in the latter stage. It's how you got that second touchdown set up. And now Dak State is on the doorstep, and if they so choose, they can run 3 times and get a chip shot field goal on a centered up look. Or do you go for the throat cut?
3 wide receivers. Galloway, the lone receiver, to the top. Here's Hines, and it's over.
Touchdown, Dakota State.
20-14, our final score. Dakota State did not have a lead all game long. Through 60 minutes of regulation, never led. They lead when it matters most, and that's when the scoreboard says it's final. You see the celebration there. They win 20-14. Corey, you and I had talked about Jacob Giles a lot today and how he just did not perform. A top 10 quarterback in the nation, averaging 300 yards. He threw for just 70 today. But, man, he made a big throw when it mattered, and he leads his team to a win in overtime.
Yeah, he really did. And the other thing, too, is he avoided the big mistakes all day while under constant pressure, both pressure of the game and pressure of the defense. He weathered through, and just like that, Dak State wins at a heartbreaker for Jamestown.
Dak State gets back into the win column after a loss last week. They're 2-1 in the conference. The Jimmies dropped to 1-5 overall, 1-2 in the conference. We'll step aside when we come back, our player of the game, and we'll wrap things up from Jamestown. 60 minutes wasn't enough to determine a winner. We go to overtime, and all it took was 2 plays for Dakota State to get into the end zone and win on the road in a conference game to improve to 2-1 in the conference. The Jimmies dropped to 1-5 on the season, 1-2 in the conference with a 20-14 loss. Let's look at your Choice Financial player of the game. Choice Financial is people first. Find out what it means at choicefinancialgroup.com. We go with Hagen Hines, 139 yards on 15 carries, averaged nearly 10 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. When that throwing game through the air was not there, non-existent today, Corey Hines sure was on the ground.
No doubt about it. He really paced this offense, kept them level, and allowed them to do some things while they were struggling. They sorted out and they avoid the upset bid here in Jamestown. A heartbreaking loss for the hometown team on homecoming weekend, but they showed they can play with a number 2 team as it currently sits in the North Star Athletic Association, and it has to have some value.
Hines, the sophomore running back, has himself his best day of the season. 15 carries, 139 yards, 2 scores on the ground. He leads Dakota State to a win on the road, 20-14 on top of Jamestown. For everybody on our crew today, whether back at our BEK studios on the campus of UMary or here in Jamestown, I'm Noah Reed alongside Corey Brooks saying thanks for tuning in tonight. Don't forget the rodeo is on BEK Prime tonight at 6 o'clock, and Corey has your call for North Dakota State and Oral Roberts volleyball tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Dakota State defeats Jamestown 20-14.